Now we're about to do something that's never been done before. Sidney Crosby, right now you're 37 years old, a 94 overall with franchise potential. Realistically, you don't have that many years left. But in this video, you do, because I'm going to force you to play until you're 50 years old. Now I've done a couple tests with this, and when I say a couple tests, I mean I've done one test, and based on that one test, I think this will be possible. Sidney Crosby, I'm going to force you to play until you're 50 years old. Now you might be thinking, stick on the ice, how is it possible for you to force him to play until he's 50 years old? Well, you're gonna have to wait and see. So without further ado, we're simulating season number 1. I'm not doing anything because this is the 2024-2025 season. The season already wrapped up. We already know what happens. The Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup. We don't care about this whatsoever. So I'm just gonna simulate season number 1. We're not classifying this as season number 1. I will say this kind of sucks a little bit. Mike Sullivan isn't our head coach. Why is Mike Sullivan not our head coach? This is still the 2024-2025 season. Mike Sullivan should still be here. Now they're doing us dirty right off the start here. Now something really interesting happened. Like I can't find the Pittsburgh Penguins here. Like clearly they're going to be one of the worst teams in the entire league and not fourth in the entire league with a 53-26-3 record. This is supposed to be the 2024-2025 season. What are we doing here? This season doesn't really count for the rebuild, but I still have to point out what happened here. Crosby 116 points, 46 goals, 70 assists. This is a bit ridiculous. I think things have gone a little bit out of hand here. Tristan Jarry, what were your numbers? These numbers make sense, like the save percentage and the goals against, but how are we fourth in the entire league with these numbers? Because these are terrible. From both of our goaltenders, they were not good this season. Luckily, things weren't too out of hand here. Like we didn't win the Stanley Cup or anything. The Minnesota Wild did. We did make it to the second round, losing 7 games to the Carolina Hurricanes though, and that makes absolutely no sense. And you know what else makes no sense? The fact that we haven't hit 86k subs yet. So if you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel. You already know what you have to do. Just hit the button down below. So we don't really have to worry about the draft lottery results, but I will point out Utah jumping from 9-1. Why couldn't the Pittsburgh Penguins just had a top 5 pick? We bring in a top 5 pick to play alongside Crosby. We do a mini rebuild with this team, but that's not going to be happening. Instead, we're going to be fourth in the entire league. We're not going to get any great young players, and it's going to make the rebuild that much more difficult. Well, in a situation like this, I think we just go with Zach Morin. We know what we're getting. We're getting low franchise potential. Somehow this king right here went undrafted, and that's not right. Zach Morin shouldn't have went undrafted. He should have got drafted because he has a low franchise potential in NHL 25. You heard me right. He should have got drafted because of what his potential rating in NHL 25 is. Does that make sense? No. Not whatsoever. You know what? You should have got drafted based on that fact alone. We're also going to take Lakovic 26th overall. I was really hoping the St. Louis Blues were going to take Lakovic. I'm really surprised he dropped all the way to the Washington Capitals pick. The Capitals got a steal with this guy right here. So we're going to make a couple trades at the draft. There's no great prospects available around the 53rd overall range. So I'm going to package that pick up along with Ryan Graves so we can ditch that contract. We're bringing Tolvanen in. He's going to be a good second line sniper for us. Now the reason he's going to be playing second line minutes is we're going to head over to the Buffalo Sabres and we're going to make a deal with them because Heinen's trade value is way too high. Like this is ridiculously high for him. So I'm going to trade him over to Buffalo and we're going to bring in JJ Peterka. So this is what the Buffalo Sabres deal is going to look like. We're going to bring in JJ Peterka. We're also going to get a future 3rd round pick. Well, maybe not the 3rd rounder, but we can definitely go 1 for 1 here. So JJ Peterka, welcome to the Pittsburgh Penguins. You're going to play with Crosby on the top line. Now Jack Ivankovic, we know you have medium league potential, but you have let me down a couple times. So we're not going to go with you. Instead, we're going with McIntyre, who might have low league potential, low top 6. Probably should have just went with Jack Ivankovic, but you know what? Sometimes Jack Ivankovic lets me down. And when I say sometimes, I mean like 90% of the time. Also, we'll just go with Brady Martin for vibes here. Like he's not going to have the potential that we want, but we'll still take him. Medium top 9. Shout out to Brady Martin. I'm not going to lie, I'm really disappointed with this selection right here. He had semi-accurate scouting for medium elite potential. We got medium top 6. Nothing wrong with medium top 6, but it's not medium elite. Now we clearly have a bunch of cap space to work with, and JJ Peterka, you need to come back to the team. Oh, this is amazing. Can we do more years? Like let's do 6 years with JJ Peterka. 6 years, 5.7 million or something. I'll give you a modified no trade. We can't beat this deal right here. Like I'll do 50% team protection, 5.7 for the next 6 seasons. That's a steal. That is an absolute steal for JJ Peterka. Matt Grzelcyk, I mean, you're decent overall. I just didn't plan on bringing you back to the team here. 4.8 million. I think we're going to hold off on you. Pure Oliver Joseph, though, I can give you a bigger role. And you know what? At this price tag, it's not too bad. 2.7 for the next 3. Moving on over to Tomasino. He's going to be up next. Another good young player on this team. I'm doing 2 years at 1.5 million. As long as he continues to play his role here, he's going to be a great player. Now, when it comes to everyone else, I don't think we have to worry about re-signing people. I gave a couple guys 2-way contracts. Other than that, we're just going to sign this rookie right here, and we're done with the re-sign phase. Now, although we didn't do too much during the re-sign phase, I think we're going to make a lot of moves over the offseason. First one's going to be re-sign Tolvanen. However, he's only looking for a 1-year contract. Also, did I call him Tolvanen earlier? I might have called him Tolvanen earlier. It's Tolvanen. I might be tripping, but that's beside the point. We're not going to be doing 1 season. Also, Malkin, I'm looking to bring you back to the team, but not at this price tag. I'm not giving you 13 million, I'm sorry. So yeah, maybe we won't be handing out that many extensions. Alright, so at no point did I ever say this was going to be realistic. Brian Rust, a 2nd and 3rd rounder over to the Washington Capitals. Protas and Martin Ferravari. Protas is a great young player, locked down for 4 more years at 3.1 million. Martin Ferravari, will have to give him an extension immediately, but I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not quite sure if this is going to be enough here, but it looks like it is. And we're fleecing. And then when it comes to Martin Ferravari, what's his extension going to be looking like? I'm hoping for sub 6 million, and that's what we're going to be looking at. And you know what? We're actually just going to add an extra year to this contract, 5.4 for the next 4. So Rickard Rakell, you're 32 years old. You're going to start aging out on us pretty quick. Nichushkin is 2 years younger, so we're going to bring him to the team. I think he's going to play on the top line. It's going to be JJ Peterka, Sidney Crosby, and Nichushkin. The second line is going to be Malkin, Protas, and Tolvanen. I think that's a really good top 6 that we can work with here. I'm going to take the 3rd rounder out because we might not need it, and it's a good thing I took it out. Now we're going to sign a couple cheap defensemen to play in our 3rd pairing. Hayden Fleury is going to be one of them, 1.7 for the next 3 years. As long as he plays his role on this team, that's going to be a great acquisition. And then when it comes to our next signing, Perbix, I'm really surprised that you're looking for less than $2 million. What if we did a 3-year deal here? 3 years at $2 million actually wouldn't be terrible, but I'll do 3 years at 2.1. So hopefully he's going to be willing to accept that, because that'd be a great addition. Also, this signing of Jim Montgomery was huge for us because he's a veteran coach, meaning Sidney Crosby isn't going to be regressing as fast with him as a head coach, and that's exactly what we need. We need to make sure that Sidney Crosby's not regressing a ton. I mean, it's only a matter of time before he starts regressing, but if he regresses at a slower pace, that just means he's going to have more chances to win Stanley Cups as the top guy. Now, I was about to get ready for next season, but there's 2 trades I forgot to complete here. This first trade makes absolutely no sense in my eyes, like literally 0 sense. So we're going to get a 7th round pick from the Calgary Flames, and I'm going to give them Tristan Jarry. I don't know why they're interested in Tristan Jarry. I don't know why Tristan Jarry would even fit their trade block. Like, what about this makes any sense? He's obviously not going to be your starter. That's going to be Dustin Wolf. He's not going to be your backup. That's Dan Vladar. Why on earth would this ever be a trade? Connor Murphy, I guess I'll acquire you. Didn't realize there's 2 Connor Murphys in the NHL now. But yeah, Tristan Jarry for Connor Murphy. This is a deal. A no-brainer for Calgary. You do realize what I gave you. Now, when it comes to our goaltending situation, I think this is what we're going to go with. Sam Montembeault, I don't think I've ever used you in a rebuild before. Unless it's been a Montreal Canadiens rebuild, I don't think you've ever been the guy for me. Until now. Sam Montembeault, you're going to lead us to greatness. So this is the first true year of the rebuild. Sidney Crosby, you're 95 overall with elite potential. Ideally, with a veteran coach, you're not going to be regressing a ton on me. JJ Peterka and Nichushkin are going to be at your side. When it comes to the second line, Tolvanen, Malkin, Protas, like we have a pretty solid forward core here. The defense is in a really good spot, except we're going to run these lines right here. I want Ferravari and Carlson, I want Letang, and I want Joseph. Those are the guys I want in those spots. And then when it comes to goaltending, Montembeault, you're going to be the guy. Why is Connor Murphy our goaltender? That's not what we're doing here. Like, respectfully, Connor Murphy, I want you as our backup. Bloomquist, I want you as the backup. Throw Connor Murphy on waivers, I don't really care too much. I want Bloomquist as the backup. So this is the goaltending tandem that we're going to be running. Montembeault and Bloomquist. If we were able to make the playoffs last season, we're definitely making it this season. Now, there's nothing better than being last in your division at the 20-game mark to then be 4th in the entire league at the trade deadline. A 35-20-7 record. This team was really bad to start the season, like incredibly bad, but we figured it out since. Sidney Crosby, 87 points. 87 points for 87. It just makes sense. Erik Karlsson, 77. Malkin's got 53. Nichushkin, 52. JJ Peterka, 43. JJ Peterka is one of those guys that always lets me down. I don't know what it is. He's a sniper, but he doesn't necessarily take a lot of shots. Or I shouldn't say that. He doesn't take a lot of shots when he's on my team. I mean, last season he had 15 goals. So that kind of proves my point a little bit. But JJ Peterka, you need to be the sniper that I'm looking for here. Protus only 29 points. That's a little bit disappointing, but you're +9, so I'll take it. And then when it comes to goaltending, a 912 and a 282 from Montebolt, 25 wins and 1 shutout. He's definitely playing his role on this team. Now, when it comes to making a trade here, there's only one guy I'm actually considering trading on our team, and that's Tommy Novak. The only reason for Tommy Novak potentially getting traded here is his trade value is decently high, and I don't really know where he fits on this team. Like, can he be our second line playmaker next season? That's the real question, because Malkin's going to be gone. Can he step into that role? I think we're going to hold on to Tommy Novak for this season. We're going to see how he plays next season, and at the trade deadline, we'll make a move accordingly. Because yeah, Malkin's not coming back to the team, especially if he's looking for $13 million. But if Tommy Novak can take his place, then there's no point in trading him. Okay, all that stuff I just said about not trading Tommy Novak, throw it out the window. We're trading Tommy Novak because Pittsburgh's first round pick for next season has a lot more value than it probably should. This is our first round pick for this season. Not a ton of trade value. Our first round pick for next season has over double the value. So if I package that first round pick up along with Tommy Novak, can I get Lucas Raymond? Like, Lucas Raymond would be incredible for us. Like, when Malkin's gone, we move Protus to center. Lucas Raymond plays on the second line. And then we have Tolvanen alongside him. I think this is the move right here. Lucas Raymond, welcome to the team. Now, when it comes to what our lineup's going to look like this season, we're not going to worry about it. We're going to make it work, though. Now, the Penguins aren't quite as good as season number 1, but let's be honest, season number 1 was an absolute fluke. 4th in the entire league, a 48, 26, and 8 record. This team's flying. They're competing with the best. Sidney Crosby, still 95 overall, and still one of the best in the game. 108 points, 45 goals, 63 assists. Erik Karlsson, 97 points. Malkin, 68. Nichushkin, 62. Lucas Raymond, only 60 points here. But what did you do since joining the team? That's the real question. 12 points in 20 games? Not gonna lie, you're kind of letting me down a little bit. I was expecting a bit more from Lucas Raymond, but you know what? We'll let it slide. Sam Montebolt, just keep on doing your thing here. You're winning all the important games, but now you have to win some games that mean a little bit more. The playoff games. We're taking on the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round. This is certainly going to be a tough task. Before we get into the postseason, though, let me have a conversation with a couple players here. Malkin, how much do you want? I'm not going to do 9.4, so Malkin will leave the team. Tolvanen, how about you? How much do you want? This is beautiful. 4.9 million for the next 5 years with Tolvanen. You can't ask for a better deal than that. So we got players coming back on great deals. The team's looking amazing for next season. We have a handful of young guys that are going to keep on developing. There is nothing wrong with this team right here. Let's just go win a Stanley Cup now. Can we simulate game number 1? We're finally simulating game 1, and we're going to be winning 3-2. Moving into game 2, it's going to be one of those videos, isn't it? Where the simulation is just going to be incredibly slow. We have a 2-1 series lead. Make that a 3-1 series lead. Now all we have to do is close out in game number 5, and we'll be moving on to the second round, but we're going to have to wait 5 minutes. We're winning 5-3. And that's all that matters. So we're moving on to the second round to take on the New Jersey Devils. So we're going to be taking down the Washington Capitals. So we don't get to see that great rivalry matchup. But you never know, a new rivalry might be starting here between us and the Devils. Because I'm assuming for the rest of this video, the Devils are going to be a good team. Like, they have a good young core. I assume that they're going to be a really competitive team for the next decade. But the Pittsburgh Penguins are as well. So I'm assuming we're going to be matching up against this team a handful of times. We have a 3-1 series lead. Moving into game number 5. When we close it out, we're moving on to the conference finals. And we're one step closer to Sidney Crosby winning another Stanley Cup, but we have to win one of these next few games. If we don't, we're going to be facing elimination, and we could be eliminated. Now, we can't fall here. We can't lose to the New Jersey Devils. We can't blow a 3-1 series lead. We haven't seen the top 6 score in this game quite yet, so you already know they're going to be showing up in the third period, and we're going to be winning this game right here. Not quite yet, though. They're waiting until overtime to show up. So the entire team is going to show up in overtime here, and we're going to win this game. Lucas Raymond, you didn't look that great after the trade deadline, but now you're picking up OT winners, and we're advancing to the conference finals. Now, you remember how I said we'd be matching up against the Devils a handful of times in this video? I expect to match up against this team a ton as well. The Florida Panthers. We already know what they're about. Pittsburgh needs to lock in. If Sidney Crosby can walk away with a Stanley Cup in year number 2, we'd be in a great spot. Win this game right here, that's a tough loss. That loss was really tough, but if we could have won that game, we would have had a 3-1 series lead. We can't lose 3 straight games here. We need to win game number 5, and that's what we're doing. Close out in game 6 and move on to the Stanley Cup final. We need game 7 7 yet again. We have game 7 once again. The last game 7 we were in, it was a great defensive battle until Lucas Raymond scored the OT winner. How about we just blow Florida out here? Malkin and Peterka the first 2 goals. Moving into the second period, we're picking up another 2 goals. We're going to close it out in the third period here. They almost came back though. I'm not going to lie, those 4 unanswered from the Florida Panthers, they made this competitive, but Kevin Hayes is picking up an empty netter, and we're taking this one 7-5. We're in the Stanley Cup final in 2026. Crosby might be winning another cup. Now let me just say, I didn't expect these 2 teams to match up in the Stanley Cup final in 2026. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Calgary Flames. Although we're in season 2 of this rebuild, it's technically season number 1. In one season, I turned the Pittsburgh Penguins into a Stanley Cup caliber team, and all we have to do is win 4 games, and we're Stanley Cup champs. So let's just take it one game at a time here. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got to win 4 games, and right now we have a 3-1 series lead. So as long as we don't blow a 3-1 series lead, the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be Stanley Cup champions, and Sidney Crosby is going to be taking home a cup. However, I don't think it's going to be happening in this game unless we score an OT winner, and that OT winner comes from Sidney Crosby, Kevin Hayes. Kevin Hayes is potting the OT winner. We made a big time comeback in the third period thanks to Sidney Crosby. Back-to-back goals from him. Did he have a hat trick in this game? It doesn't look like it, but who cares? The Pittsburgh Penguins are Stanley Cup champions. However, I'm going to drop a fact for you. The season isn't technically over yet. You might think the season's over because the Pittsburgh Penguins have won the Stanley Cup, and that would make a lot of sense. But this is how I'm going to force Sidney Crosby to play until he's 50 years old. Before I explain though, let's take a quick look at the postseason scoring. So the Pittsburgh Penguins are Stanley Cup champions. Sidney Crosby was amazing, 36 points. Lucas Raymond, 33 points. Erik Karlsson, 32. Malkin, 21. The big time performers certainly stepped up in this game, and one of those big time performers was Montevolt. 16 wins, 1 shot, a 903 and a 294. I didn't think we'd be winning a Stanley Cup in year number 1 with him, but here we are, Stanley Cup champions. Now, as we can see, Sidney Crosby's 38 years old. He's a 94 overall, meaning he has regressed 1 overall, and I might be a little bit concerned that he could retire on us, but there's one way for me to prevent that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this file. I'm going to create a new file, which means I'm going to have a replica of this file right here. So right now, I have 2 different save files of the exact same save. I'm now going to simulate up to the draft. When you see this screen right here, the playoffs are complete, that is when the season is officially over. Now this is important. So I saved before I saw this screen right here. So that means I saved before the season was officially over. That means absolutely everything here. The St. Louis Blues are dropping from 1 to 3. Just thought I'd point that out. But let's just say Sidney Crosby retires here. If Sidney Crosby retires here, it'd actually be a perfect example, but he's not retiring. But let's just say we saw Sidney Crosby's name right here. Because I have a copy of this file right here, all I would have to do is exit without saving, load up the old file before the season officially ended, and then I would just re-simulate up to this point right here. And when you do that, it actually gives you a different batch of retired players. So let's just say I didn't want Vlasic to retire here. I would just go to the copy of this file right here, re-simulate the official ending of the season, and then when I got to the retired players page, it'd be a different group of retired players. So my theory is, as long as I have a copy of the file that we're simulating on, and I save it before the official end of the season, if Sidney Crosby retires, I just go to the old file and re-simulate and get a different batch of retired players. And by doing this, we should be able to prevent Sidney Crosby from retiring until he's 50 years old. Like, eventually Sidney Crosby's going to retire on me, and I'm going to show you when he retires on me, and I'll show you a perfect example of what I'm talking about, because I might be yapping right now and I might be making absolutely no sense to you, but when you actually see it happen, it'll make a lot more sense. Now, I'm not going to lie, this draft isn't really looking the best for us. There's one guy projected around the 50th overall range I'm interested in, so I'll trade the 32nd and the 96th overall to get that 50th overall pick, but we're also going to get a future second round pick from the Chicago Blackhawks. They're saying no, they just want a lucrative 7th round pick. So I'll give you the 224th overall pick here, and we get this deal done. Now this is the prospect I was interested in. Maybe he has medium league potential, but do we just go for Petrie? I mean, he has medium top 4D potential. He's 3 years away. At least we know what we're getting here. Or do we take the risk? Of course we take the risk, because scared money don't make money. We're going for the medium league potential player. He has medium top 6, so I mean, it was worth the risk. It's not like we walked away with a medium bottom 6 potential player or anything. So you know what, after consideration, the salary cap going up, and me realizing we have $20 million in cap space, Malkin, we can do a 1-year deal. I'll bring you back for 1 more season here. We'll do a full no movement. Ideally, we can get this under $8 million, maybe like 7.5 or something. That's what we'll do. 7.5 for Malkin for 1 more season. He's returning to the team. Kevin Hayes, you're going to be walking. Lizotte, you're going to be walking. Aho's going to be walking. Bemstrom, maybe I'll bring you back to the team. Are you willing to accept a cheap deal here? $1 million for the next 2 is definitely cheap, so he's going to be returning. With everyone else, though, I'm not too worried. Now, Sidney Crosby's looking for an extension. Are we looking at $8.7 million? Of course we aren't, because this isn't real life. This is NHL 25, and Sidney Crosby's looking for a bag here. We're doing $11.6 million for the next 2 years. Not particularly what I wanted, but you know what? We'll make it work. Erik Karlsson, how much are you going to be looking for? $10 million for 1 season. I'm not really a big fan of these contracts, but you know what? Erik Karlsson is still our top defenseman, so I guess he can get that. Here's 10.5 for next season. It's $500K more than what you're getting paid right now. Malkin, I'm assuming you're going to be leaving the team. When it comes to McGroarty, how much is your extension going to be? $4.5 million. We'll hold off on that for a little bit, because I just need to figure out where you're going to be fitting in the lineup. Like, I know exactly where Tomasino fits. He's a bottom 6 guy for us, and at $2.7 million, that's really reasonable. 2.6 is even more reasonable, and that's what we're going to sign him to. Owen Pickering, I'll give you a 2-year extension. We're probably looking at a 2-way contract here. I don't think you're quite ready for the NHL yet. There's also not really a spot for you on the team quite yet, but this is by far the most important extension. Montembeault, you're coming back to the team. I don't care what you want. It's going to be 5.75 for the next 3. Now, we need to sign a couple players for the bottom 6. I'm not looking to spend too much money here. Kiefer Sherwood would actually be a really good player. He could play 4th line minutes, and at $2.7 million, we're probably going to do that. So Kiefer Sherwood, welcome to the team. $2.7 million for the next 2. You can play bottom 6 minutes for sure. And then we got to find one more player here, just another guy to play 4th line minutes. Taylor Radish, I don't hate that one. Tanev, I don't hate either, especially at $1.6 million, but you are 34 years old. Charlie Coyle's not a bad pickup, but he's 34 as well. Vladimir Tarasenko, how a great legend has fallen. You just hate to see it, you really do. But I think we are going to go with Taylor Radish here. $2.3 million for 2 years. We can make that work on the bottom 6. All right, now the plan was for Lucas Raymond to be our 2nd line playmaker, but with Malkin coming back, it doesn't make sense for him to play on the 2nd line, especially with how good he looked alongside Crosby. Like, Crosby and Lucas Raymond, they were an elite 1st line in the postseason, so we're keeping them together. JJ Peterka, you're going to play on the top line. Nichushkin, you're going to play 2nd line minutes for me. I think this team's looking to run it back. We have all the right pieces here. Everyone's returning for another season. Nothing's going to stop us. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to make any trades here. A 46-15-1 record. We're scoring over 4 goals per game, and we're only allowing 2.76. Let's not change anything here. This team's looking incredible. Sidney Crosby's a 91 overall, but we're going to make it work here. Lucas Raymond, 77 points. Erik Karlsson, 68. The team is absolutely flying right now. Malkin has 35 goals. Never would have expected that at 4 years old, but this team is rolling right now. Montembeault, 36 wins, 2 shots on 910 and 262. Let's win the Stanley Cup. Let's go back to back. Nothing's changing here. So the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to have a strong finish to the season, a 59-22-1 record. Who would have thought in the year 2027 the Pittsburgh Penguins be a borderline 60-win team? It makes no sense. And Crosby putting up 108 points, including 51 goals. That doesn't make any sense either, but this team's flying. Lucas Raymond, 101 points. Erik Karlsson, 90 points. Everything about this team is absolutely elite. There's no concerns whatsoever. Montembeault, 46 wins, 3 shots, a 907 and a 276. We know what it takes to win because we did it last season, so let's do it again. We have the Philadelphia Flyers in the 1st round. So you remember how last postseason I made a big deal about how we'll probably be taking on the Devils a handful of times? The Devils didn't even make the playoffs here. The Philadelphia Flyers made the playoffs, but not the New Jersey Devils. Certainly an interesting result there, but we have a 3-0 series lead on the Philadelphia Flyers. We're going to take them down in 4 games, and we're going to move on to the 2nd round. The Penguins aren't messing around here. Now, the Flyers didn't even put up the slightest fight against us. The New York Rangers certainly will be, so the question is, are the Penguins going to be ready? Like, the last 4 games they played, it was pretty easy for them. I don't think this series will be quite as easy. Like, I highly doubt we're going to start the postseason 8-0 here, but if we do start the postseason 8-0, I definitely wouldn't be against it. We're dropping game number 1, but we're responding in games 2 and games 3. Can we respond in game 4 as well? It doesn't look like it. We've split the series so far with the Rangers. Game number 4 is going to be an important one that we're going to be winning. Now let's close this out in game number 6 and move on to the conference finals. Never mind, we got game 7 once again. Last time we were in the 2nd round, we ended up in game 7, and we ended up winning that game in overtime. So how about we do that again? 3 straight goals to start the first period was great until the Rangers scored back-to-back goals. Moving into the 2nd, we're scoring the first two, and then the Rangers are going to be responding. It's a 2-goal lead entering the third, but a 2-goal lead's the worst lead in hockey. We better lock in here. And in the third period, Adam Fox is going to be scoring the lone goal, but 1 goal isn't enough, so we're advancing to the conference finals. Now, the Florida Panthers are looking to get back. We took them down to the conference finals last season. They're looking to beat us here, but we know that's not going to happen. I'm not going to allow the Florida Panthers to take us down here. The Pittsburgh Penguins are going to get past Florida, and they're going to go back to back. We split the series. Game number 5 is the most important game. We need to win game 5 here, and we're dropping that one in overtime. That's an absolute heartbreaker, so we better win game 6. I was talking about how game 5 is the most important. That's no longer the case. Game 6 is the most important, because if we lose this game, we're going to be eliminated. It's been a scoreless game through 2 periods. Somebody has to score for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and if I'm being honest, that player has to be Sidney Crosby, and never mind, that's not happening. 2 Barkov goals and then a Samson Reinhart goal is going to be the difference here. And yes, I did just call him Samson Reinhart because his first name is Samson. That is something new I learned today. It's not Sam Reinhart, it's Samson Reinhart. For the longest time, I thought Sam was short for like Samuel or something. Nope, it's short for Samson. So there's a fun fact if you didn't know that. Now, after falling to the Florida Panthers, they're going to go on to win the Stanley Cup. So if we only could have got past Florida, then we would have been Stanley Cup champions. Sidney Crosby, he was still elite in the postseason. 7 goals, 17 assists for 24 points. Lucas Raymond, 19. Malkin, 17. JJ Peterka, 17. I need JJ Peterka to not only start shooting more, but I need him to start scoring more. Because for a sniper, 2 goals is certainly not enough. And a Chushkin, 2 goals, I expect better from you as well. When it comes to goaltending, Montebolt, I mean, he put up incredible numbers. What can I say? 10 wins, a 924 and a 246. He's definitely the guy for us moving forward. It's just a shame that we couldn't take home another Stanley Cup here. But I guess we should go see if anyone on this team is going to be retiring. Because outside of Sidney Crosby, there's a lot of older players on this team. Like Erik Karlsson could call it a career. Malkin could call it a career. Even Chris Letang could call it a career. But it doesn't look like any of those players are going to be retiring on us. We're running it back for another year. I mean, to be fair, we still have like 10 years left in this rebuild. We're going to be here for a hot minute. Now, not only did we lose in the conference finals, but you might as well say we lost in the draft. 9 picks to work with. And nothing notable. We didn't even get a medium top 6 potential forward. We got nothing here. Alright, so Malkin, you're 40 years old. Do you have another year in you? Because we could bring you back for one more season. And that's what we're going to do here. Malkin, if you continue to ask for contracts like this, I have no reason to not bring you back to the team. $7.6 million for 1 year. He's coming back. We're running back basically the exact same team, except for maybe McGroarty, because he wants $4.7 million. I just don't know where you fit on this team. Are you a top 6 player for us? You have 2 X Factors, you're 23 years old. In theory, you do have a place on this team, but I just don't know where it is. Alright, now this just isn't sustainable. 37-year-old Erik Karlsson, 90 overall. Malkin, 40 years old, 89 overall. Chris Letang, 40 years old, 88 overall. But all of them continue to put up good numbers, and they continue to play their roles here, so there's no reason for me not to bring them back. Except when they ask for $8.9 million. Then that's a pretty good reason. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, you're up to an 86 overall. I have no issue with you staying on this team. So for $5.5 million for the next 4, you're going to be returning. Kiefer Sherwood, I'm just going to write out your contract. Bemstrom, I'm going to write out your contract as well. Perbix, I'll write out yours. Taylor Rash, I'm going to write out yours. All of these guys down here could be replaced in free agency. Bloomquist, though, I will bring you back to the team for $1.2 million. Okay, this is an absolute no-brainer. Runner McGroarty and a 5th-round pick for Heineman from the Montreal Canadiens. He's under contract for the next 3 years at $3 million. He's an 85 overall. McGroarty's an 85 overall as well, but McGroarty wants $5 million for 1 season. We'll just take the guy who's on a 3x3. That's a no-brainer. Now, it actually turns out we need another centerman on the team, so I'm going to trade Kiefer Sherwood and a 3rd-round pick over to Tampa so we can bring in Connor Geekie. 1.3 for the next 2 years. He's playing bottom 6 minutes for me. He's actually going to play 4th line minutes, but as a 4th liner, I like that contract and I like that player. Now, the team continues to look absolutely elite here. Like, the top 6 is definitely going to be leading the way for us. When it comes to the defense, that's an amazing spot. I don't know why they keep trying to play Chris Letang on the top line. No, it's Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson's the top guy, and alongside Ferravari, it's Joseph and Letang. It always has been, and it always will be. When it comes to goaltending, we already know what Montebolt does here. Just keep on doing your thing. Yeah, so this team is just on a different level. 48 wins at the trade deadline, 4.18 goals per game, 2.76 allowed. This is ridiculous. What's also ridiculous is the fact that Sidney Crosby is no longer leading the team. How can this be? Lucas Raymond, 88 points. Sidney Crosby, 86 points. He still is a superstar X Factor. At 40 years old, he's dropped to an 87. The fall off is certainly coming from Sidney Crosby. I really wonder what he's going to look like at 50 years old. Like, we actually might be running a 50 overall in the lineup. It's going to be tough. Nichushkin, 65 points. I'm very curious to see how things turn out for us. Like, I don't want to spoil my last video, but let's just say at one point, Jack Hughes at 44 years old was an 88 overall. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that. At 44 years old, he was an 88 overall. Some players, I guess, just don't age. But when it comes to our team, we're not making any changes here. We are literally just going to keep the team that we have. Maybe. Sergachev is interesting. Sergachev is certainly an interesting player here. I don't know what we would have to give up. It would have to be Zach Morin, and it would have to be one of our defensemen. And if we were to trade a defenseman away, it probably would be Chris Letang. I can't trade Chris Letang here, but I'm curious to see what it would take outside of Zach Morin. Like, we'd be over the salary cap, but we could probably bring Sergachev to the team. $8.5 million for the next 4 years. He's 29 years old. He fits the timeline here. I think we should make this deal. So Chris Letang, I'm going to trade you away, and we're going to bring in Sergachev to be the replacement. Like, Letang, you're 40 years old. Like, you got to be honest with me, you're not that guy anymore. So this is what we'll do. Chris Letang over to the Winnipeg Jets. We get a second rounder in Kyle Palmieri. Kyle Palmieri, you're going to end up being flipped over to Utah, but I just need you to make the contracts work. I'll throw in a 7th round pick, but this is definitely worth it. We're going to get Winnipeg's second rounder, but now we're going to go get Sergachev, who is off the market. That's fine. He's still on Utah, and that's all that matters. As long as Bro didn't get traded, we'll be all right. I mean, we do have another option here. Sean Durzi. And Sean Durzi would actually be a little bit easier to trade for. He's 29 years old and 86 overall. The trade value is way lower. That deal might make a bit more sense. Like, when it comes to re-signing Sean Durzi, it shouldn't be that difficult. I think we're going to go with Sean Durzi over Sergachev. I'm going to try for Sergachev, but we might just walk away with Sean Durzi. So we're going to try Zach Morin, a 1st and 2nd round pick. Is that enough for Sergachev? Oh, well, that's easy. All right, Sergachev's coming to the team. Kyle Palmieri, I don't even know what we're going to do with you. I guess I'll just throw you into Trade Finder. Like, there's no need for Kyle Palmieri on this team unless we just keep him for the rest of the season. What overall is he? Okay, he's only an 81. Can I flip him somewhere? Who's interested in Kyle Palmieri? We can get a 7th round pick, a 6th rounder from Florida, but I don't want to help Florida out. Give me Dallas a 6th rounder. So that's a big time upgrade when it comes to the defense. Sergachev's going to be joining the team. We have 4 88 overalls in the lineup. I think we're set. Or at least we have 4 88 overall defensemen. That sounds a little bit better than 4 88 overalls in the entire lineup. Okay, why do we keep finishing just a few wins shy of 60? Just win 60 games here. A 59-17-6 record, 4 goals per game, 2.65 allowed. We're one of the best offensively, one of the best defensively. Sidney Crosby is an 86 overall, but that doesn't mean anything. 51 goals, 60 assists, 111 points, only 2 X factors. You have 10 more years left. I'm going to force you to play for another 10 years. I don't even know if this is going to be possible. I'm going to be honest. There was like a 40 to 45% chance that this probably wouldn't work, but it will work. I will make this video somehow work. At the very minimum, we have to get him to 45 years old. 46 years old would be the ideal minimum age here, but I think we can get him to 50. We're taking on Philly once again. This is an easy matchup. Like, there is a possibility that the game just breaks at some point and it just can't comprehend a 50-year-old still playing in the NHL. That is a possibility because it's probably not coded for a 50-year-old to continue playing. There's probably something coded in where when you hit 45 years old, no matter what your overall is, you have to retire no matter what. But we are going to learn that today. We split the series with Philly. We got to win game number 5 here. Like, Crosby only has 10 years left in his career. We can't take any seasons off. We're going to be winning game 5. We have to win game 6 as well. Just close it out here, move on to the second round. We know what this team's capable of. They're capable of losing game 6. We don't have the greatest record in game 6. I'm going to be honest. Like, we've been in a handful of game 7s so far, and in those game 7s, we've stepped up a handful of times, but we should close it out in game 6. Why do we always have to go to game 7 here? We need some big time performers in game 7. We can't be folding, and what's going to happen? Well, we're almost folding, but it doesn't matter because we're winning. So we were able to sneak past Philly, and that means we're moving on to the second round, and in the second round, we get a different matchup. We have Carolina instead of New York. I am a little bit concerned with Philly putting up as much of a fight as they did. Like, Philly was a wild card team at the end of the day. They probably shouldn't be competing that much, but we're absolutely rolling right now, sweeping the Carolina Hurricanes. We got to keep on moving here. This team's got a little bit of momentum, and we're going to need that momentum, especially since we're taking on Tampa Bay. Okay, I was expecting Florida. Tampa Bay was taking on Florida in the second round. I guess Tampa Bay is taking down Florida. All we need to do is win 4 more games and we'll be in the Stanley Cup final, but we're losing 3 in a row. Losing 3 in a row is not winning 4 straight. I can tell you that for a fact. So there's only one thing left to do here, make a 3-1 series comeback. Let's dominate game number 5, and then we'll move into game 6 and dominate that one. So we got dominated in game number 5. We don't have to worry about dominating game 6 or game 7 because we got smoked. Yeah, we're out in 5 games. We lost 4 in a row. So the Colorado Avalanche are going to go on to be Stanley Cup champions, taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning. Sidney Crosby, you might feel like retiring, but you don't have a choice. You are running it back with this team. You're an 84 overall, third line scratch forward. That's not happening. You're not going to be scratched because you're going to continue to play on the top line. Nichushkin, 13 points. Hyman's picking up 10 points, 5 goals and 5 assists. This team just didn't really perform when it mattered. But you know what? Whether or not this team performed, it doesn't really matter because Sidney Crosby's going to run it back once again here. Colorado Avalanche are Stanley Cup champions. I guess we're about to find out if Sidney Crosby's going to be retiring or not. I don't think he's going to be retiring, but there is a very good possibility he decides to call it here. Doesn't look like it. I was actually expecting Sidney Crosby to say, you know what, I'm packing it up here. I'm not returning for another season, and then I'd have to override his retirement. That's not going to be happening. Brett Burns at 43 years old, he's going to retire. Ryan O'Reilly's going to be retiring at 37. Chris Letang's even going to retire here at 41 years old. Good thing we traded him away. Granted, we didn't really get too much for him, but by trading Chris Letang away, we were able to bring in Sergachev, so I think that worked out for us. But Sidney Crosby's looking to return for another season. You'll love to see it. Alright, I'm not going to lie, this draft is chopped. So yeah, we're going to try to get a future second round pick from the Boston Bruins. I'm not wasting my draft picks here if I'm going to be walking away with absolutely nothing. Just give me future picks, or at least give me a future second rounder. I mean, a 4th rounder is a 4th rounder. We'll take an absolute swing here. Granted, a swing is inaccurate, low elite potential. So yeah, what could possibly happen here? We got low elite potential. You know what? It was worth it. Hold on to your 4th round picks because you might be able to get a low elite potential player who definitely won't develop for you. Alright, so we have a handful of guys leaving the team here. One of them could potentially be Erik Karlsson unless we can lock him down. 8.7 million. He's not the player he used to be, but I think he could still man our second pairing. So Erik Karlsson, I'll bring you back for 1 more year. We'll do 7.7 million for 1 season with Erik Karlsson, and if we're bringing Erik Karlsson back, we might as well just bring Malkin back. For the 15th different time, we are going to be giving Malkin a 1-year contract. We're now down to 4.7 million for him. At that price tag, I'm perfectly fine with him returning. Perbix, 5.5 million. I don't want to do that. Taylor Radish, I'm assuming you're going to be looking for like $3 million. Yeah, that's not going to be happening. Bemstrom, Fleury, both you guys are going to be leaving. We'll find some replacements in free agency. Oh, Erik Karlsson, you want to try to play a little bit of hardball here. I'm not for that. You will sign a contract with the team. So how about we do $8 million for 1 season? That's more than what I was offering you last time. I think that's a pretty fair offer for you, and it looks like he's going to be accepting. Now, of course, Sidney Crosby is going to be coming back to this team, but I'm only going to do a 1-year contract because I'm assuming every year he's going to be asking for less and less money. We're also going to give him a no movement because he's going to be staying on the Pittsburgh Penguins for the rest of this video. So yeah, 9.9 million for 1 season. Sidney Crosby, welcome back to the team. We're actually saving quite a bit of money with that extension, and it's probably a good thing we're saving money there because Protas has to come back to the team as well. I don't expect he's going to be looking for too much, and it doesn't look like he is. So Protas is going to be returning as well. We're going to be looking at $7 million for the next 5 years for the role he plays. That's an amazing contract. Erik Karlsson, you could potentially be leaving. Malkin, you could potentially be leaving. It's really going to depend on what your overalls are and how much you're looking for. Owen Pickering, I'll give you an extension because I think you're going to have a bigger role in this team. I'll do 2 years at $1 million. Connor Geekie, you're going to continue to play some bottom 6 minutes for me. I don't want to do 2.5 for 1 season, but I can do 2.5 for 2 seasons. So Geeky's going to be returning as well. And then when it comes to goaltending, we don't have to worry about Montebolt yet. Bloomquist, I re-signed you last season. So yeah, when it comes to the salary cap situation of this team, it's actually really good. Now we need to make a couple signings for the bottom 6 here. And Noah Cates, you're definitely the guy we're going with. 1.8 million, but how about we do 2 years? I'll do 2 years at 1.9 million for Noah Cates. And then I'm looking at Trent Frederick. I think he'd be a great piece as well in the bottom 6. And Trent Frederick's deal is going to be significantly better. We're doing 2.3 for the next 3. So him and Noah Cates are going to definitely be great in the bottom 6, but we do need 1 defenseman here. And I think Ryan O'Rourke is going to be our guy, 800k for the next 2 years. Now at 41 years old, Sidney Crosby's still an 89 overall, so his regression hasn't been crazy yet. Malkin, who's 42, is an 84 overall. That's not bad whatsoever. As long as we have a veteran coach here, I don't think the regression is going to be ridiculous. Like, yeah, Crosby only has top 9 potential, but he's an 89 overall, so I don't care what his potential is. As long as he's a decent enough overall, we're going to be okay here. The defense looks great. The offense looks great. Goaltending's fantastic because we know what Monty can do here. Let's just keep on seeing success here. Also, we're not even going to bother stopping at the trade deadline. We know how good this team is. We're not going to waste our time making any trades. We're going to win 60 games this season. Just kidding. We're going to win 59 because why would we ever win 60? Now, what did I tell you would happen? I told you this team would finish with 59 wins because we're never going to win 60 games here. However, I definitely couldn't have predicted this. Sidney Crosby, 126 points. Yes, at 41 years old, Sidney Crosby's putting up 126 points, 63 goals, 63 assists. Nobody could have predicted that. Not a single person on earth could have predicted at 41 years old, Sidney Crosby would have the best season of his career. Like, this man has been in the NHL for a hot minute, and he just recorded his best season at 41 years old. Yeah, he can't retire. He is going to play till he's 50 years old. There's no reason he should stop. We're taking on the Rangers in the first round. That was ridiculous. Like, why is Sidney Crosby at 41 years old having a career season? What about that makes any sense? We've won back-to-back games. We're looking to make it 3 straight, but unfortunately, we're not going to be doing that. We're splitting the series with the Rangers. Like always, Game 5 is going to be an important one. We're going to be winning that one. Let's not go to Game 7. If this team goes to Game 7, we know exactly what's going to happen here, but luckily, we're going to be avoiding that. And you know what? Let's keep the momentum going here. When we keep the momentum going, this team keeps on flying. We're moving on to the second round, take on the Carolina Hurricanes. We've taken them on a couple times so far in the video, and each time we've taken them on, we've been able to beat them. We have a 3-1 series lead. One more victory is going to get us into the conference finals, and that's going to get us one step closer to winning another Stanley Cup, and that's the goal for 41-year-old Sidney Crosby, and we get our revenge. It's time to get back against this team. We beat the Florida Panthers once. They've been able to beat us once, but we're going to beat them here. A 3-1 series lead, one more win, and we're in the Stanley Cup final, but we have to get that win, and we know Florida's not going to fold. They're going to put up a good fight, and that's why we're in Game 7. You can never count out the Florida Panthers. It doesn't matter what year it is, this team is always going to be competing. We're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. It's going to be Noah Cates and Erik Karlsson. Moving into the second period, Warren Foegele's going to be responding. We need a great defensive masterclass in the third period. A defensive masterclass is going to win this game for us, and we didn't have a defensive masterclass. Samuel Skevich and Matthew Tkachuk are picking up goals. Nichushkin's going to be picking up one for us. Overtime is going to sell this one. Don't blow a 3-1 series lead. Double overtime is going to sell this one. Do not blow a 3-1 series lead. We blew a 3-1 series lead to Matthew Tkachuk. Ain't no way. So although we weren't able to get back against the Florida Panthers, the Edmonton Oilers were, and they're going to be winning the Stanley Cup here in 2029. They're finally going to beat the Florida Panthers. Meanwhile, Lucas Raymond, 25 points. Sidney Crosby, 24 points. Nichushkin, 10 goals, 11 assists for 21 points. He's actually been really good on the top line, and he's not really regressing. Like, he's 34 years old, still putting up great numbers. However, there's a high likelihood that he gets traded next season. He's going to be looking for an extension, and I'm assuming he's going to be looking for an absolute bag. Meanwhile, when it comes to goaltending, Montebold, the goals against just wasn't it. 3.25. I need slightly better than that. If we want to win multiple Stanley Cups in this video, we can't have you posting a goals against a 3. That's just not going to work here. We need better than that. Sidney Crosby, are you finally going to retire on me? It looks like it. At 41 years old, Crosby's retiring, except that's not actually happening. No, I made sure to copy this file. Crosby, you're not calling it a career quite yet. Now, I will say there is one problem when it comes to me copying the save file. Depending on where I save, we could get a different result in the Stanley Cup final. So this time, Florida's going to be winning back-to-back games, and they're going to beat the Edmonton Oilers, because I didn't know exactly when that series was going to end. Edmonton had a 3-2 series lead, so the day before Game 6 came up, I had to copy the file, because I don't know if Edmonton's going to win that game or lose that game. In this new save file, Edmonton's going to lose the game, but the question is Sidney Crosby going to be retiring in this new save? And in this new save, it doesn't look like Sidney Crosby is going to be retiring. Alexander Ovechkin might be retiring, but not Sidney Crosby. He wants to run it back once again. So yeah, we're just going to do that every season and prevent Sidney Crosby from retiring until he's 50 years old, or until the game basically says nope, he has to retire, which I wouldn't be surprised if at 45 years old it forces him to retire. Like, I don't know how this game is coded when it comes to the maximum age a player is allowed to keep on playing, because I'm assuming the game's coded with a cap. Like, once you get to 45 years old or maybe even 50 years old, you can't keep playing, you have to retire. But we don't have to worry about that right now because Sidney Crosby's sticking around. Now, there's been 2 goaltending goaltender selected in the first round. Back-to-back picks, by the way. Both of them have medium league potential, but we have a 55 overall and a 54 overall. I feel like if you're being selected in the first round, you should be higher than a 55 and a 54. Maybe that's just me though. Like just for an example, in the second round here with the 57th overall pick, we're getting another medium league potential goaltender, and he's a 54 as well. You know what? So far it's been an amazing draft. Now we're getting a low league potential offensive defenseman starting off as a 62 overall. He could develop into something for us. But you know what's better than 2 medium league potential goaltenders? A third medium league potential goaltender. That's all we need, is more medium league potential goaltenders. That one's a gem though, so you know what? He might be pretty good. Now to finish this draft off, there's clearly one more thing we can do. Get another elite potential player. Okay, having a veteran coach is clearly the move because Malkin is an 87 overall at 42 years old. He is not regressing. This man just refuses to regress, and I'm going to keep bringing him back to the team. So Malkin, here you go. $5.1 million for 1 season. You're going to be returning. Erik Karlsson, you're going to be returning at 39 years old. You're not looking for too much. However, 9.2 is a bit wild. I'm not going to lie. I don't really like 9.2 million. I'll take away that clause and I'll take away a year. I don't really know how much I want to do this because we're looking at $10 million for you now. I can do a no movement for 1 season, 9.8 for 1 season. I can do that with you. Malkin's going to be accepting. So is Karlsson. All right, let's run it back with the exact same team. We're a borderline 60-win team every season, so we might as well just keep sticking with the players we have. Also, Bloomquist is gone. I can't give him $6 million for the next 6. That's just not happening. Now, we have a lot of extensions to hand out here, and we have to be careful with the money because we need to make sure that we always have enough money for Sidney Crosby. Malkin, on the other hand, we don't really need enough money for him because more than likely he'll somehow return to this team next season, even though he's 42 years old. But guys like Martin Ferravari, we need money for. Tomasino, not really too sure if we need money for you, depending on where you're going to play in the lineup. Nichushkin, more than likely you're going to be traded away. You're 34 years old. You want $10 million, basically 9.925 to be exact. I can't do that. So Nichushkin will be traded away. Martin Ferravari, can you do a really good deal here? I need to save some money, and this is a great deal. So we're going to do 6.4 for the next 6 seasons. Like Martin Ferravari's an 88 overall. That's an absolute steal. So Martin Ferravari's coming back to the team. Heineman, how much are you going to be looking for? I think you're probably going to end up playing top 6 minutes for me, so this isn't that bad of a deal. So I'll do 5.7 for the next 3 years. You're going to be moving up in the lineup, so that's not too bad of a deal. Tomasino, how much are you looking for here? You want 5.3. I can't see you having a top 6 role, so I think we're just going to ride out your contract. And then Lakovic, you're definitely going to be jumping into the lineup, potentially even this season. 825k for the next 2 years. You're already an 80 overall. I think you'll play bottom 6 minutes for me this season. And then when it comes to Montebolt, I guess we can bring you back again here. You're 32 years old. 5.3 million is actually not that terrible of a contract. It's less than what you're getting paid right now, so I'll definitely do that. Okay, I think this is the move. Nichushkin straight up from Michael Misa. We'll extend Michael Misa immediately, but he'll likely end up being our second line playmaker. Sidney Crosby's going to continue to play on the top line, but we're going to need a playmaker because let's face it, there is no way Malkin's here for another 3 years. That's just not going to be possible. Nichushkin straight up for Michael Misa. Now let's just hope he's willing to re-sign a really reasonable deal. Like, this isn't an awful deal for Michael Misa because he's really young, only 22 years old, and he's going to keep on getting better. I just feel like it's a little bit much for our salary cap situation right now. However, what if we do a modified no trade clause in that final season? 16 team no trade. We can probably get this down to like 5.8 million. 5.8 for the next 5 with Michael Misa is actually very reasonable, so that's what we're going to do. So Michael Misa, welcome to the team. You're going to play a pretty big role here. Okay, I'm not going to lie, I'm risking giving Tomasino a deal here because we still have like $25 million in cap space. So if I can lock him down for 4.9 million, we can probably keep him on this team. 4.9 for Tomasino, even if he's playing bottom 6 minutes, we can make that contract work. I mean, at the end of the day, if we have to trade it away to free up cap space, we can do that, but we have $25 million. After he accepts this deal, we still have $20 million in cap space. Realistically, Malkin's not coming back to the team next season. Sidney Crosby 100% is, but Erik Karlsson probably isn't, and we'll have to get a replacement. And Voronkov, it's interesting. Like, if we're bringing him to the team, we're making a massive push for this upcoming season. Like, we're looking to win a Stanley Cup. He hasn't signed an extension yet. I don't hate this deal. I just don't know where he would play on our team. We're pretty top heavy right now. Even our third line's pretty solid. I don't think we bring him to the team. I don't think it makes sense. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. A medium-league potential goaltender, a medium top 6 forward, and a second round pick. I'm perfectly fine with getting rid of one of our medium-league potential goaltenders. We have a handful of them. Samuelson, 20 years old, a 71 overall. I can't see you turning into a superstar, so I'd be okay with trading you away. And then we turn a second round pick into a third round pick. We're going to do this deal. I like that one a lot more than giving giving up 2 seconds and a third. Now, Voronkov, how much money are you looking for when it comes to an extension? Like, we do something fairly reasonable here. The salary cap situation of this team is going to be very interesting next season. Here's 5.9 million. I don't think 5.9 is enough, but if it is, we're getting an absolute steal. 5.9 is going to be enough for Voronkov. I don't know what we're going to do with this cap situation in like 3 years, but we'll somehow make it work. Now, our team is actually stacked. Like, we have 87 overalls on the third line here. I didn't expect this team to look this good, but here we are, absolutely flying right now. The defense even looks spectacular. This team doesn't have any weaknesses. Maybe our backup goaltender is a weakness, but you know what? This guy's 22 years old. He's going to keep on developing. Montebolt, we've seen what you've been able to do in the past. It's time for you to help us win another Stanley Cup. And it's also time for you to help us win 59 games once again this season, because winning 60 games with this team is impossible. Now, this season was absolutely heartbreaking. Not only have the Penguins fallen off, a 47-26-9 record, Crosby's hit that point where he's a fraud. Crosby has completely fallen off the map here. JJ Peterka is leading us with 90 points. In second, Lucas Raymond with 87. Sidney Crosby is less than a point a game. He still has X factors. He's still an 87 overall. He's still a good player, but he's just not that guy anymore. He's not that dominant self that he used to be. Malkin, 56 points. What has happened to our great team? What has happened to our elite team who has been winning 59 games the past 3 years? We're just not those guys anymore. However, there is one thing you have to know about the Pittsburgh Penguins. They always step it up in the postseason, and they're going to do it again here. So we know this team's going to step up. They're going to take down the New Jersey Devils here. They're going to move on to the second round. They're going to make a deep push into the conference finals, and then we don't know what's going to happen once they get to the conference finals. Because once we get to the conference finals, that's usually where things change for this team. We have a 3-1 series lead right now. New Jersey's not really putting up that much of a fight. We'll take them down 5 games and we'll be moving on. That's exactly what I want to see. So we can all see it happening. Pittsburgh versus Florida in the conference finals. It's happened a handful of times, but it hasn't happened enough yet. Like, we have to get our get back against the Florida Panthers. We beat them, they beat us, and then I think we beat them again, or they might have beat us again. We've taken on the Florida Panthers a handful of times, and they've all been in the conference finals. Game 5 is important. Let's win Game 5 here, and then we'll close it out in Game 6, and then take on the Florida Panthers in the conference finals, because we know we're going to meet them here. Who would have saw this coming? It's the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Florida Panthers. A great rivalry matchup here. We're dropping game number 1. We're going to be winning games 2 and 3, but we're dropping game 4. So once again, it's game 5. Game 5 being the most important game of the series, and we're going to win that one in overtime. Close it out in game number 6. Let's move on to the Stanley Cup final. Of course, we have game 7. Why wouldn't we have game 7 between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Florida Panthers? Normally in Game 7, Florida finds a way to beat us, but not this time. This time, the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to come out on top. They're going to close it out in the third period here, and we're going to make it to the Stanley Cup final. Wow, that was really close. Barkov scored with 50 seconds left, but they just didn't have enough time. We're back in the Cup final. Sidney Crosby, you're back in the Stanley Cup final in the year 2030. There was tons of people that thought you'd be retired by now, but you refused to retire, and you're just going to keep on winning. Crosby's always going to find a way to step up in the most important games here. He's going to lead his team to victory. Things aren't looking good right now. We dropped the first 2, so we have to win the next 2. We already won Game 3. We need to win Game 4 here, and that's what we're doing. Moving into Game 5, we got to make that 3 straight victories, but we're not going to be doing that. Game 6 eliminations coming up. We can't drop this one. Sidney Crosby doesn't have a ton of years left, so when he makes it to the Stanley Cup final, you have to win. 2 goals in the first period is great. Moving into the second, we're going to be picking up another one, so we're going to be taking this game, or at least I hope we're taking it. Sidney Crosby, a power play goal in the third period, wasn't needed, but it was still an important goal. So it all comes down to this: one final game, one game to decide our Stanley Cup champs. The Chicago Blackhawks and Pittsburgh Penguins. Who's going to come out on top? Well, Connor Bedard's going to start the goal scoring off. Moving into the second period, we're going to be responding. It's Pickering, it's Hyman, it's Tolvanen. Connor Bedard would pick up his second of the game, but it doesn't matter. A big third period is what we need here. Sidney Crosby, I need you to lead us to victory here, and that's what's happening. However, it's not going to be Sidney Crosby, it's going to be Tolvanen, it's going to be Sergachev. Sidney Crosby in the year 2030 is bringing home another Stanley Cup. Nobody thought that Sidney Crosby would be able to win another Stanley Cup, and nobody thought that 42-year-old Sidney Crosby would be able to be the Conn Smythe winner and lead the way here. 10 goals, 14 assists for 24 points. It doesn't matter how old this man is, he's going to find a way to lead his team to victory. Meanwhile, Montebolt, good thing I gave you that extension. 16 wins, a 906 and a 276. You were incredible. 2 Stanley Cups for you so far with the team, but we got to go get a couple more. Now we can't let this happen. Crosby retiring and Malkin retiring. Yeah, that's not happening here. Now, it took a couple of attempts, but we finally made it, so Sidney Crosby's not retiring. But at the same time, Malkin's not retiring either. He's ready to run it back. Now, you know what? I think making that trade last season where we shipped out a mediumly potential goaltender was definitely worth it, considering we're getting one in the second round. He's only a 48 overall, though. So yeah, kind of confused about that. Like, how are you projected in the second round and you're a 48 overall goaltender? That doesn't make sense. Like, explain this to me. With the 128th overall, we're getting a 61 overall mediumly potential goaltender. We drafted this guy with the final pick in the 4th round. The player we draft with the final pick in the second round is a 48 overall. How does that make sense? Now, we have give or take $20 million to work with. Sidney Crosby's dropped to an 84 overall. Malkin's an 85 here, but I'm going to bring them both back to the team. These guys are the franchise right here. 3.5 for Malkin. Sidney Crosby, how much are you going to be looking for? Like, you're going to get to the point where you're really not looking for that much money, but you are looking for a 2-year contract, and I'm very happy about that. So we'll do $4.5 million for the next 2 years. We could probably do $4 million actually. Okay, maybe $4 million is a bit of a stretch. We'll do $4.4 million for the next 2 years. So Sidney Crosby's going to be returning, and then Erik Karlsson, I think we'll actually let you walk here. You're 40 years old and 83 overall. You've regressed too much for me to justify bringing you back to the team. Also, you're not part of that original Penguins core. Like, you're not Malkin, you're not Crosby. I won't bring Noah Cates back. 1.7 for the next 2 years, pretty good. O'Rourke, I can bring you back as well. We'll do 2.5 for the next 3. And then with everyone else, it's going to be 2-way contracts. Now, luckily, we have cap space to work with, and we have Crosby locked down for 2 years. So JJ Peterka, how much are you looking for? I don't know how I feel about that. You are a 90 overall, though. JJ Peterka, I will bring you back to this team. It's a bit of a questionable deal, but then again, you did have 90 points last season, so maybe it's not as bad of a deal as I think. So I think what we'll do is 11.2 million for the next 7 years. JJ Peterka, you're gonna be one of our top players. Sergachev, I'd like to bring you back to the team, but I don't know how much you're looking for. Okay, 13.6 just isn't happening. Tolvanen, I don't know how much you're gonna look for. I'm assuming it's a bit too much here. 8.3 million. I don't hate it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't hate it. Granted, you had 19 goals and 27 assists. I gotta take a quick look at our lineup to figure out who's gonna be playing where. Because as we know, Sidney Crosby's still playing top line minutes. Michael Misa's our second line center. We have JJ Peterka and Lucas Raymond on that top line. Protas is gonna be playing second line minutes as well. Is there still a spot on this team for Tolvanen? I'm not too sure. And what I wouldn't be against doing is packaging up both these players and trying to get a really good sniper for the second line. And I think we might try to do that. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna package up both of our forwards. Gonna bring Gabe Perreault. He's gonna play some good second line minutes. He'll be an elite sniper for us. We're bringing in Braden Schneider. He's going to play some second pairing defensive minutes for us. I think this is a really good trade for us because we get a forward that we need, and we also get a defenseman we need, and we haven't even traded away Sergachev yet because eventually we are going to have to trade Sergachev in order to get a new #1 right defenseman. A second round pick's not going to make the difference, but you know what will? A 7th round pick, because the lucrative 7th round picks always make the difference. That's wild. So I might have just traded for Braden Schneider, but I like this defenseman a bit more on the New Jersey Devils. He's an 81 overall, mediumly potential. Last season he didn't really produce that much, and I think we could re-sign him to a really reasonable contract, and then if he plays second pairing minutes for me, he'll develop into like an 85, 86 overall player, and we might only have to pay him $3 million or something. Nemec, you're probably going to be looking in the $8 million range, and I can certainly do that, so hopefully this package is enough. They're saying it's a little bit low. A 7th round pick will make the difference. This is a bit of a riskier deal because we don't know exactly how much these two guys are going to be looking for, but I think we can get it done. One 7th round pick is enough, and unfortunately we don't have multiple 7th round picks, so we're going to have to do a 7th and a 6th. Now Nemec, you might not be interested in an extension, but how much money are you going to be looking for? 8.4 is very reasonable, and we're not even going to be locking you down for 8.4. We're doing 7.9 for the next 5. So Nemec's going to be sticking on this team, and the other mediumly potential defenseman, I'd like to do an 8-year deal with him, because if we do an 8-year deal, we're probably looking at about 3.5 million with a no movement. It might have to be a little bit more than that, but you know what? This is certainly worth it. This guy's going to be an absolute stud. 3.7 for the next 8 years. That's a steal. Also, Connor Geeky's coming back to the team as well, 2.3 for the next 2. Owen Pickering, however, he is 1000% not coming back to this team. Now I gotta give Jim Montgomery and Sidney Crosby a lot of props here. Like, at 43 years old, he's an 85 overall. Yeah, he has bottom 6 potential, but I don't care about that. He's an 85 overall at 43 years old. He has certainly regressed since the beginning of this video, but the fact that 43 years old, he's still an 85 overall, I gotta give it to him. Also, Pierre-Olivier Joseph is a 91 overall. Just thought I'd point that out. Bro is turning into a superstar, and I didn't even expect it. Meanwhile, Monty, he's an 85 overall. He's won 2 Stanley Cups so far. Let's go get a 3rd. Now, Sidney Crosby, you faced some tough times. Some very tough times. Like last season, you were below a point a game. We don't have to worry about that anymore. You picked up 111 points this season as an 84 overall, 58 goals, 53 assists. You heard that right. At 43 years old, Sidney Crosby put up 111 points after putting up 78 last season. He has entered his second prime. Lucas Raymond 106 points, JJ Peterka 101. I'm actually really happy I paid this man now. When it comes to goaltending, Monty's doing his thing. We're looking at winning another Stanley Cup here. Nothing's going to stop us. We have the Rangers in the first round. Crosby's in his second prime. Everything looks amazing for Pittsburgh. No, but real talk, at 43 years old, how on earth has Sidney Crosby entered his second prime? He just put up 111 points at 43 years old. Nothing about that makes any sense. We're dominating the Rangers right now. They were able to steal game number 4 away. That doesn't matter. We're going to take this team down. We're going to move on to the second round eventually. When are we going to be moving on though? Who knows? Because we've dropped 2 in a row. It better not be 3 in a row. We better not be blowing a 3-0 series lead. Yeah, we're not going to be doing that. We're taking down the Rangers and we're moving on to the second round. And in the second round, we're going to see a team that we've seen a handful of times in the second round, the Carolina Hurricanes. I think this is our 4th matchup against them in the second round. We split the first 2 games. We're winning game 3. We're going to win game 4. We got a 3-1 series lead, and you already know what happens after we beat the Carolina Hurricanes. We take on the Florida Panthers in the conference finals, because why would we take on any team other than the Florida Panthers? It just wouldn't make sense here. So we're taking down the Carolina Hurricanes. I just know for a fact we're going to take on the Florida Panthers, but I guess we're not the Toronto Maple Leafs instead. Oh yeah, we're Stanley Cup bound. We're going to win the Stanley Cup, or at least we're making it to the Stanley Cup final, because we're not going to lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. A 3-1 series lead, close down game number 5, and we're in the Stanley Cup final just like that. Sidney Crosby's going to win another Stanley Cup here. It's honestly ridiculous. Like, so far, we've been absolutely flying through the postseason. There have been very few teams that have actually put up a fight against us. We have the Dallas Stars next. We have one more team to beat, and that team is the Dallas Stars. We have a 3-0 series lead. We have won the first 3 games, and we could potentially sweep this team. If Sidney Crosby keeps on winning Stanley Cups in the year 2031, it's a little bit ridiculous. But you know what? As long as we don't collapse in the third period, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're collapsing in the third period, but that's fine, because Veronkov's just going to pick up the OT winner, and we're going to be Stanley Cup champions. No, that's crazy. No, the Penguins really did that. Like, we actually dominated the postseason. I don't think Sidney Crosby's going to be taking home the Conn Smythe. I think it's going to be going to Protus. But at the end of the day, I think we just give it to Sidney Crosby. He's 43 years old. This man led us to a Stanley Cup at 43 years old. He's going to be picking up another one here. It makes no sense. Monty's getting another one here. That's his 3rd Stanley Cup. That's our 3rd Stanley Cup of the video. And we're only in, what, year 7? And we technically didn't count the first season. So do we have 3 Stanley Cups in 6 seasons? No, we're dominating right now. But as we all know, Sidney Crosby, you cannot retire until you're 50 years old. So yeah, I don't care if you tell me I'm retiring. That's just not happening. Now, it's very unfortunate, but Malkin at 44 years old, he's going to be retiring with 1,814 points. Erik Karlsson's going to be retiring as well here, but who isn't retiring? Sidney Crosby, because we already know he wants to run it back again. Now, we're going to be walking away with at least one lowly potential player here. This is going to be the first one, a defenseman who's a 53 overall. When it comes to the next player, I don't think they're going to be available with the 160th overall pick, so I think we're only walking away with one here. Unless this guy turns out to have lowly potential, then we are going to get 2 here, but the other guy I was looking at was projected around 150, clearly wasn't available, so yeah, we might just be getting one lowly potential player here, and that's going to be the case. Now, we need to make sure that we hold on to this cap space, because we're going to have to give Lucas Raymond a huge deal. He's probably going to be looking at least 15 million, and why wouldn't he? He's definitely earned it. Alright, so we have like 3 main players that we have to sign: Lucas Raymond, Joseph, and Crosby. Crosby's looking for about $9 million, so I don't want to give him his extension quite yet. We'll hold off till the re-sign phase, and then we'll bring him back to the team. When it comes to Lucas Raymond, we're probably looking around $15.5 million. I mean, he's definitely earned it. He's been one of our best players, but that leaves us with give or take $13 million to work with. So Joseph, I don't think we're going to be able to bring you back to the team here. You're one of our best players, but I can't do $11 million. So Joseph's likely going to be traded. Lakovic, I'll keep you on this team. We'll do a 3-year deal, $1.2 million. You're going to play some bottom 6 mids for me, and at that price tag, I'm definitely not mad at it. All right, so this is what we're going to do with Pierre-Olivier Joseph. I'm sending him over to Utah. We're bringing in Jose Avery and Caden Schneider. They're both going to play some good minutes for me, and their combined cap hits are only $7.2 million, so I think this is a steal for us. After re-signing Lucas Raymond, keeping Avery on the team, we're still going to have enough money for Sidney Crosby. Now, Sidney Crosby's 44 years old, still an 86 overall, one of the best in the entire game. By the time he hits 50 years old, he's likely going to break Wayne Gretzky's point record. He's about 500 points away, and if he keeps up the pace he's been at the past couple seasons, he's definitely going to be able to do that. Breaks Wayne Gretzky's point record, plays till he's 50 years old. What can't Crosby do? The team's still looking incredible here, no weaknesses whatsoever, except maybe goaltending, because Montebolt's dropped to an 82 overall. We might need to get a different goaltender sooner than later. So we all know what the Pittsburgh Penguins are about here. First in the entire league, a 56-18-8 record. This team is absolutely locked in. Lucas Raymond, 111 points. He was pretty solid this season. JJ Peterka, 104 points. He was solid as well. Sidney Crosby, only 95 points. But then again, he's 44 years old. What do I really expect from 44-year-old Sidney Crosby? Not 95 points, but he's still been that man. Monteboldt, 41 wins, 3 shouts, and 899 to 297. He's been holding it down for us. He's won multiple Stanley Cups with the team, so I don't see why he can't win another. And in the first round, who do we get to match up against? The Florida Panthers of all teams. This is going to be a good one. Nobody has ever been this interested in a first round matchup before, but we care deeply about this one right here. The Florida Panthers and Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh's dominating game number 1. They're dominating game 2. A 3-0 series lead right now. Absolutely ridiculous. The boys are flying, but they can't cap it off in game 4. They won't be sweeping the Florida Panthers. That's perfectly fine because they'll respond in game number 5 and they'll close this one out. And you know what? We have to continue with the momentum here. When the Pittsburgh Penguins have momentum, they are unstoppable. They just keep on winning Stanley Cup after Stanley Cup, and that's what they're looking to do here. They have the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round. They're winning game 1. They're winning game 2. Can they sweep the Carolina Hurricanes? Yes, they can. 8-1 so far in the postseason. This team cannot be stopped. Sidney Crosby is looking for another Stanley Cup here. At this point, I don't even know how many Stanley Cups he has. We're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you already know we're not going to lose to the Maple Leafs. I just refuse to do that. We're winning game 1, but dropping game number 2. But who cares when you have a 3-1 series lead? 12-2 heading into the Stanley Cup final. This team is really built different. Like, who cares if Monteboldt isn't the highest rated goaltender in the league? He's stepping up in the big time moments, and that's why we're back in the Stanley Cup final. Now, if we win right here, I believe this will be the 4th Stanley Cup for Sidney Crosby in this video. And you know what? We have a 3-0 series lead, and we're not going to blow that lead. So let's close it out right here. 16-2 in the postseason, one of the greatest runs of all time, and we're going to cap it off right here. Did Noah Cates have a second period hat trick? Yes, he did. Show it to Noah Cates. What an absolute legend. I never would have expected that from him. But yeah, 16-2 and we're Stanley Cup champions. This team just keeps on winning. Now, the most impressive thing by far about this postseason run right here isn't the fact that we went 16-2, but we just completed a three-peat. Sidney Crosby is three-peating in the year 2032. That is unheard of. You will never ever see a player three-peat in the year 2032 when they are 40 years old. He three-peated after 40 years old. Nobody does that. And then Monteboldt, yeah, these are incredible numbers. But no, that is actually wild. Sidney Crosby, you won a Stanley Cup in 2030, 2031, and 2032. You won all those Stanley Cups after you turned 40. You were 42, 43, and 44 for those 3 cup runs. Nobody's done it like that before. Before we get ahead of ourselves, there's clearly one thing that we have to do here. Sidney Crosby, I have to give you an extension. So how about we do a 2-year deal with a no movement clause, because why would I ever trade you away? $6 million for 2 seasons? I think that's pretty fair for you. But you know what? I'll do a little bit more. 6.1 for the next 2. So Sidney Crosby's going to be returning. We can't lose this man. So Sidney Crosby's going to be accepting the deal, but I'm actually really curious. Does he decide to retire on me? Because there's a very good chance he signs that deal and then retires. Then I'll have to go with the copy of this file right here. But Sidney Crosby, are you going to be accepting that contract and then retiring on me? Because that would make absolutely no sense. And it looks like you are. So yeah, let's go to the copy of this save file. Why would you accept a contract and then 2 weeks later retire? It just doesn't make sense. Now, we're going to be securing another medium league potential goaltender in the draft, but don't be surprised if we start trading some of these medium league potential goaltenders away, because we have way too many of them now. So after being an absolute dog for us when it mattered most, Noah Cates, unfortunately, I'm not going to be bringing you back to the team because I need to save some money. There's a couple of guys that are going to need some big time extensions, and I'm not too sure if we're going to have enough money for all of them. Also, show it to Ryan Goalie, the right winger. Who would have thought? Alright, so realistically, I think actually the only player that we have to bring back here is Gabe Perreault. Like Tomasino, you can walk. I'm okay with not bringing you back to the team, especially considering you're playing third line minutes for me. Gabe Perreault, we actually might be able to afford you and Tomasino, barring the price here. So Gabe Perreault, $7.8 million for the next 5 years. That's really not that bad of a contract. And then Tomasino, how much money are you looking for here? You want 6.7? I don't want to commit that to you if you're playing bottom 6 minutes for me, so I think I'll let you walk. Connor Geekie, $5.6 million. It's a little much. Could we do 4.9 with a no movement? Like 4.9 with a no movement here. Actually, let's not say a no movement. A no movement clause with trade protection. If we did this, you can man our fourth line, and I actually think that's a reasonable deal for you. So you and Gabe Perreault are coming back. Tomasino, I might trade you away. We'll see how things go. Kane Schneider, I will bring you back though, $850K for the next 2 years. You're likely going to be jumping into the lineup pretty quick. Same with Kim Brunstrom here, $850K for the next 2. You're probably going to play some bottom 6 minutes for me. And then of course, Montebolt, you keep winning Stanley Cups with us, so I'm going to keep bringing you back. 2.8 for 1 season. You're 35 years old. I don't know how many years you have left, but you continue to win with us, so I'm fine with bringing you back. All right, so this is what we're going to do with Tomasino. I'm going to send him over to the Kings. Barkley, Halton, and 2 second-round picks are going to be acquired. I mean, we're not getting both of these second-rounders. We'll be lucky to get 1 second-rounder in this deal, and I think we're going to be coming out on top in this deal. We get 2 guys that are locked down for multiple years here. The cap hits aren't too bad. I think that's probably going to be the only move we make, because why would we change anything? We've won 3 Stanley Cups in a row. Let's go get 4. So we only have a couple more seasons until Sidney Crosby is 50 years old. The fact that this man is still this good at 45 years old, like he might only have AHL top 6 potential and a third line role, but he's still putting up 90 points a season. He's still winning Stanley Cups, 7 Stanley Cups, 4 Conn Smythes, 3 Harts, 4 Ted Lindsays, 3 Art Ross, 2 Maurice Rocky Richards, 2 Frank Selkes, and then 2 Lady Bings. Bro is him. The greatest among greats right now. He might go down as the greatest player of all time. He might be the greatest player of all time right now. Who knows? Now, for the first time in a long time, the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't going to be first in the entire league. We've dropped to 4th, a 51-25-6 record. Is this officially the fall off? Absolutely not, because Sidney Crosby, 102 points, 43 goals, 59 assists. Bro is him. The greatest among greats. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. At 45 years old, he's putting up 102 points. Nobody else has been doing it like Sidney Crosby. I mean, Gordie Howe was doing it like that, but not quite at the rate Sidney Crosby's doing it. Montebolt, 40 wins, 6 shots, a 903 and a 289. This team is elite. 3 straight cups. We're about to make it 4. We're going for Stanley Cup number 4 in a row here. The Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. I can't really see Columbus competing with us because I just think the Pittsburgh Penguins are absolutely elite here. However, we were 4th in the entire league, so I shouldn't get too confident. We've won 2 of the first 3, make that 3 of the first 4. We're going to take down Columbus, and what are we going to do after we take down Columbus? We're going to keep the momentum going here. This team is absolutely flying, and they're going to keep on flying. Like Sidney Crosby, it really makes no sense that you have been this guy the entire video. Like, you are 45 years old, and you're still one of the best players in the NHL. How is that even possible? You just refuse to age out. Even as an 83 overall, you're still putting up incredible numbers. We split the series with the Devils. Game 5 is a big one here. We can't afford to lose this one. And what are we going to do? Well, obviously we're going to win it, and we're going to win game 6 as well, and we're going to move on to the conference finals. The Pittsburgh Penguins are about that, but maybe not. We have game 7 coming up. We have game 7 between the Pittsburgh Penguins and New Jersey Devils. This is a big one, and Crosby's going to have to show up big time. Veronkov's picking up the first goal. Michael Misa's picking up the second. We're taking on Stuart Skinner. No, we got this one in the bag. We're not folding. Gabe Perreault's picking up a goal, and we're going to be taking this one. We're off to the conference finals. We are not losing to Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner is not that man. So we've made it to the conference finals against the Buffalo Sabres. We might as well just take on the Toronto Maple Leafs here. We're not going to fall to the Buffalo Sabres. That might be an easier matchup than the Toronto Maple Leafs. We split the series with Buffalo. Maybe I have a little bit too much confidence here. We are in the year 2033, and now we're facing elimination. Maybe I shouldn't have disrespected Buffalo. Like, you would think by the time we'd reach 2033, the Buffalo Sabres should be able to win some playoff games, and clearly they've been doing that. We're entering the 3rd period. We need some elite defense here if we want to win this game, and we just didn't get that elite defense. We're going to have to score a quick goal in overtime. If the overtime goes too long, we're definitely not going to be winning it, and Zach Benson's finally going to end it. Our winning streak is now over. The Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be falling in the conference finals. I'm heartbroken. Okay, I just need to point this out. The Buffalo Sabres had a 3-0 series lead. The San Jose Sharks won the Stanley Cup. They made a 3-0 series comeback and beat the Buffalo Sabres. Only the Buffalo Sabres would blow a 3-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup final. Lucas Raymond, 29, Gabe Perreault, 19, JJ Peterkin, 19, Michael Misa, 19, Sidney Crosby below a point a game in the postseason. When was the last time this man was below a point a game in the postseason? It's been a while. I guess technically he was below a point a game. He had 24 points in 25 games. I'm not really going to count that as below a point a game, even though it is below a point a game. game, it's not really below a point a game, if you get what I mean. Pittsburgh Penguins are slowly falling off here. Monty, an 897 and a 327. You're just not that guy anymore. I'll bring you back next season to be the backup, but I think your days as our starter are over. Now, of course, Sidney Crosby tried to retire on me, and I'm not letting that happen. But imagine Mitch Marner and William Nylander both retiring before Sidney Crosby. William Nylander, 88 overall. Mitch Marner, he's going to be a 90 overall. Both of these players retiring before Sidney Crosby. That's crazy. Also, I had to use a copy of this save file. So in this new universe that is very different than the universe we saw about 20 seconds ago, the Buffalo Sabres are Stanley Cup champions here, not the San Jose Sharks. Alright, so we ended up drafting another medium elite potential goaltender in the first round, so we have way too many on the team to the point where I don't even think we can sign all these medium elite potential goaltenders. So I'm going to send one over to the Carolina Hurricanes. We're getting a 79 overall that was just drafted. He'll be a good bottom six forward for us. Like when I say we have way too many medium elite potential goaltenders, I mean we have way too many medium elite potential goaltenders here. We even have a low franchise potential goaltender that I didn't even know about. But yeah, we got to trade some of these guys away. So I'm going to package up our medium elite potential goaltender and then say a 7th round pick, and then hopefully that's going to be enough to get this deal done with Carolina, and it looks like it is. And the main reason we made that deal is because we drafted this medium elite potential goaltender in the first round, as I just mentioned. Yeah, we've been drafting a lot of goaltenders today. Now when it comes to the re-sign phase, we're just going to sign a couple of rookies, but other than that, we don't need to worry about anything. Now we have a little bit of money to work with here. Protas, Voronkov, Sidney Crosby, all of you guys have to come back to the team, and of course Sidney Crosby is the first guy we're extending here, but not quite yet. I don't want to give him 7.9 million, so Protas, I'll go with you first. But then again, Protas is looking for $10.8 million here. He's 32 years old. I think you're a great player and all, but are you worth that much money? Like, you're not even a point a game player for me. I don't really want to commit $10 million to you. Voronkov, I want to commit your money either. I don't even know how much you're asking for, but you're 32 years old. That contract's not going to kick into your 33. 5.7 isn't terrible, but for the role you're going to play on this team, I don't want to commit that to you. So I'm going to hold off on giving those guys an extension. I'm going to check on some of these other players here like Hultinen. I feel like we could probably do under $2 million, and if we're doing that, then we're going to be signing you to a pretty good deal. 1.9 for the next two. That works for me. Macmillan, I have no clue who you are, but you know what? We're going to sign a great deal. 900K for the next 2 years. Chase Stillman, I think you're going to be walking here. A lot of these other guys are probably going to be walking, but let's go make some trades. So this is the trade we're going to do with Protas. I'm going to send him over to the Ducks. We're going to bring in Malcolm Spence. He's an 86 overall. He'll take Protas' spot on the top 6. We're going to bring in Seneca, 2.1 million for next season. That's a cheap enough player for the bottom 6, and we're also going to get a future 2nd round pick. They want a 7th rounder back in return, and we can definitely get that done. So here's a 7th round pick for 2034, and just like that, we got this trade complete. Now we will make one more trade here. We're going to be getting Zyler in a 3rd round pick. He's going to play some bottom 6 minutes for me. I'm not too sure if he's going to be playing bottom 6 minutes this season though. We might hold off for 1 season before he jumps into the lineup, because right now we have $9.2 million to work with in cap space. We could sign somebody to a 1-year deal. Actually, I'm changing my mind on that. Quentin Musty, 3.8 for the next 3 years. You're an 86 overall. That's an absolute no-brainer. And then hold on now, Dalibor Dvorsky, 3.5 million for the next 3 years at an 84 overall. Yeah, that's a steal as well. So the Quentin Musty signing might be the best signing so far of the video. Like, he's up to an 87 overall. He's getting paid $3 million. 3.8 for the next 3. I don't know why he hit free agency at that price. Sidney Crosby's an 83 overall at 46 years old. He's still doing his regular thing here. He's probably going to have another 100-point season. Our third pairing doesn't have the greatest line chemistry, but we're not going to worry about it because this team's going to be elite. Sam Montembeault, this is probably your last season as the starter. Estrada's going to be taking over next season. He has medium elite potential. Ideally, he's up to like an 83, 84 next season, and then he wins us a couple Stanley Cups. Now, it shouldn't be much of a shocker, but the Pittsburgh Penguins are once again first in the entire league. This team continues to do the impossible here. Lucas Raymond, 128 points. Sidney Crosby, 104, including 59 goals. He is 46 years old and picking up 59 goals. Nah, bro's really him. He is unstoppable right now. Our first line is incredible. We don't need a second line. We don't need a third line. We don't even need a fourth line here. We just need a goaltender in Montembeault. 37 wins, 3 shots, a 904 and a 293. We're looking at winning another Stanley Cup here. It's been a little bit since we won our last one. It's probably only been like 1 or 2 seasons, but that's beside the point. We're going to get another one here. Now, I don't expect the Columbus Blue Jackets to put up much of a fight in the first round here. Like, our first line just looks so amazing. I don't know how they're going to be able to stop it. However, we have lost 2 of the first 3 games. We're splitting the series with the Columbus Blue Jackets. No messing around moving forward. We can't afford to drop any games moving forward. We're going to win game number 5, and we'll close out in game 6, and then move on to the second round. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to keep on thriving because that's what this team does. As long as Sidney Crosby is here, this team's going to keep on winning. No, but in all seriousness, it's actually a little bit ridiculous how good Sidney Crosby still is at 46 years old. Like, I knew Jim Montgomery was going to help with him not regressing quite as much, but this is a little bit ridiculous. He's still an 83 overall at 46 years old. That really shouldn't be possible. We're taking down the Philadelphia Flyers in 5 games. They didn't put up much of a fight. We're back in the conference finals, and we have the Toronto Maple Leafs once again. Buffalo might have been able to beat us last time, but we're not going to lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs here. We're going to take them down in 5 games. Never mind, we're dropping back-to-back games. It better not be 3 straight games here. We're going to be responding in game 5, close it out in game 6. We're back in the Stanley Cup final. Sidney Crosby in the year 2034 is ready to get another one. The crazy thing is, I thought by the time we got to Sidney Crosby being 46, 47 years old, he was going to play like bottom 6 minutes for me, maybe even be a 4th line guy, because I was thinking he'd be like a 72 overall. Nope, he is an 83 overall this late in the rebuild. We have a 2-1 series lead. Let's make that 3-1 series lead. We need to win game 4, and that's exactly what we're doing. Close this out in game 5, and we'll get Crosby another one. It makes no sense how good this team has been. Like, the Pittsburgh Penguins shouldn't be seeing this much success, but you know what? We're just built like that because Sidney Crosby's picking up power play goals, and now he's picking up a game-winning goal. Well, it might not be a game winner because Malcolm Spence is going to have that honor, but he's going to pick up another power play goal at 46 years old. Sidney Crosby's that man, and I think we can all say he's officially the greatest of all time. Now, like, in my eyes, Crosby's the GOAT now. There is nobody that can surpass this man. JJ Peterka, 36 points in 22 games. Sidney Crosby, 15 goals, 19 assists for 34 points. What can't this guy do? Like, seriously, what can Crosby do? His postseason scoring is absolutely ridiculous. 436 points. He definitely leads all postseason scores now in all-time points. When it comes to his season stats, 2,655 points. He's eventually going to lead that record. He has over 1,000 goals for his career now. Plain and simple, Sidney Crosby is the greatest of all time. And considering he still has another 4 seasons to play here, he's not done. We do have to give Crosby a quick extension though, and I think we're going to be looking at about $6 million for the next 2 years. Of course, we're giving him a no movement because why wouldn't we give him a no movement? It's $100K less than what he's getting paid right now, so that deal works for me. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is just a wild sight to see. But Connor McDavid, who has dropped to an 85 overall at 37 years old, is retiring before Sidney Crosby. That just doesn't make sense, but here we are. No, I'm going to have to look at the retired players every year because we just have to understand the types of players who are retiring before Sidney Crosby here. Like, Sidney Crosby had played 12 years in the NHL, give or take, before Connor McDavid debuted, and Connor McDavid's going to be retiring before him. That's wild. Now, as we all know, I've been drafting a lot of mediumly potential goaltenders, but you know what? I thought I'd switch it up here, a mediumly potential centerman. Now, just because I drafted a mediumly potential forward doesn't mean I'm not going to draft a mediumly potential goaltender. If he's going to be available, I'm going to select him. Now, the only extension I'm looking at giving out here is for Beckett Seneca. He's looking for $2.8 million. I am perfectly fine with $2.8 million. I'll actually do 2.6, and I'll increase his modified no trade clause to 50%. He plays bottom 6 minutes for me. At that price tag, I'm definitely for it. When it comes to everyone else here, they're going to be walking. And that might even include Montevolt here, depending on how much he's looking for. I think your time is up here. Your time is up with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Thank you for all the amazing seasons you had with the team. 5 Stanley Cups with the Penguins. It's ridiculous, but you were that guy for us. Now, ideally, we have to bring both of these players back to the team. I don't think it's going to be happening. Michael Meese is looking for too much money. Avery's looking for too much money here. But then again, this guy's only 25 years old. I feel like if we lock him down with a no movement, we can probably keep him around. And at the end of the day, we have about 5 years left in the rebuild here. So if we do Avery with a no movement, 10.5 for the next 6 seasons, we only have to free up about $2 million, and then we can bring Michael Meese back. Like, we would just do a full no movement with Michael Meese. We could probably do 11.5 million. Yeah, we'll go make a trade, and then Michael Meese is coming back as well. All right. So here's the plan. Malcolm Spence is going to be sent over to Calgary. We're going to get this player that they just drafted in the top 5, I believe. Never mind, he was the 90th overall pick. What do I know? He's a 78 overall. He's on his entry-level contract. Why did I think he was a top 3 pick? I have no clue. We're also getting Taylor Radish in this deal just so we can make the contracts work. Taylor Radish is going to end up getting flipped elsewhere. I'll throw a 2nd rounder into this deal, and that should be enough. I'm actually surprised the 2nd rounder isn't enough, so I'll give you another 2nd round pick. Once we get Taylor Radish, he's immediately being flipped. I feel like I'm having to give up way too much in this deal. Here's our 1st round pick for 2035. That should be enough. Apparently not. Taylor Radish, do you really have that much trade value? I mean, Taylor Radish doesn't have that much trade value at all. It's the mediumly potential player we're getting. Like, we don't really need Malcolm Spence if Quentin Musty's going to play the exact same role, 1 overall lower, for $4 million less. And then when it comes to Taylor Radish, I don't really care where you go. I just want to get your contract off the books. We're freeing up $5.8 million. Now we can re-sign Michael Misa. We'll do $11.4 million for the next 6 seasons. Everyone's going to be sticking around here. This core Penguins team is ready to roll. Now we have 3 more seasons until Crosby turns 50. But you know what? I want to play out his 50-year-old season. So we have 4 more years left in the rebuild. We know what this team's been capable of doing. They win Stanley Cups, and they've been winning a lot of Stanley Cups. So how about we win a couple more? However, there is one key change with this team. Montembeault is no longer the starting goaltender. It looks like Riesener is going to be our starting goaltender. Estrada is going to be the backup. I don't care who's in net for us as long as they can help us win. Monty was an incredible goaltender. We won 5 cups with him. We have 4 more years left. Let's win another 2. Now, like, if we really somehow win like 7 Stanley Cups in this video, I'll definitely call it a success. I'll call it a success right now. Like, we've already won 5 cups, but why not win another 2? Now, it looks like the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be winning the President's Trophy, which means we're going to be finishing second in the NHL with a 55-23-4 record. But it only makes sense that in the year 2035, Sidney Crosby is leading the Pittsburgh Penguins with 115 points. He is 47. I can't emphasize that enough. He is 47 years old. 115 points. Lucas Raymond 114. JJ Peterka 100 points. He is 47. 39 goals, 76 assists, 115 points. He is 47. It doesn't make sense. However, I am concerned with our goaltending. Riesener, you might not be the guy here. Estrada, you might not be the guy. We've been rocking with Sidney Crosby since year number 1. We've basically been rocking with Montembeault since year number 1. Maybe we should have just rode with Montembeault for the entire video. I don't know. We're taking on the Washington Capitals in the first round. There's some pretty big shoes to fill here, but I think our goaltenders can handle it. Like, we need one of these goaltenders to prove themselves. Montembeault stepped up time and time again. It's time for somebody else on this team to step up. We have a 3-1 series lead, closed out in game number 5, and they already know what we're going to be doing here. We're going to keep on rolling. When this team has momentum, nobody can stop them, but we did drop game number 5. Just don't drop game 6. We are losing the momentum. If we lose in the first round here, right after getting rid of Montembeault and blowing a 3-1 series lead, then Monty was the greatest goaltender of all time, because we're not folding like that. Except Sidney Crosby might pick up a hat trick in this game. Never mind, he's only going to have 2 goals. We're going to win it 6-0. So our goaltender did have a shutout in the most important game. I guess he's figured out what he has to do here. He's figured out he has to stop the puck, and that's exactly what he's doing. We're moving on to the second round. We're taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. We've been able to take down Columbus a handful of times in this video. Why wouldn't we take them down again? We're dropping game number 1. That's not a great sign. Right now, we're actually not playing that great defensively. Like 6 goals allowed here, 5 goals allowed here. We've split the series, but I need this team to be elite defensively, and so far we haven't been elite defensively. We're dropping game number 5. What does this team fall into? We are not the same team that we used to be. We can't fall in the second round. The Pittsburgh Penguins don't fall in the second round, especially with Sidney Crosby on the team. The third period is going to decide this game. Never mind, I take it back. Overtime is going to sell this one, where Sidney Crosby's picking up the winner. Frondell scoring. Riesener allowed an OT winner here, and we're falling in the second round. The Penguins don't fall in the second round. We need a new goaltender here. Now it's truly a sad day. Sidney Crosby's incredible postseason run has come to an end here. 11 points in 13 games. Nothing against him. He did his thing here. It was goaltending that let us down. We didn't have Montembeault. Then again, Riesener, 6 wins, 2 shouts, a 905 and a 274. These aren't bad numbers. You were actually pretty solid for us. Maybe I should bring you back next season. Like, yeah, you weren't that great in the regular season, but in the postseason, can I really complain about what you did here? I don't think so. He was pretty solid for us. The team just couldn't step up once again. Then again, they might have just been tired. This team went on a lot of deep playoff runs. The boys were exhausted. Okay, you do not understand how wild this is right here. As you can see, Sidney Crosby hasn't retired. I just finished recording the end of this video. I thought the video was over. I thought it was coded into the game. Sidney Crosby can't play more than 30 seasons, because I overrid Sidney Crosby's retirement 20 different times and it didn't work. He kept on retiring, and I thought after 30 years in the NHL, it just forced you to retire. I recorded the outro for this video. This video was completely finished, but for some reason I told myself, try it one more time. Like, I'm not kidding. I literally have the outro recorded. I tried one more time. Sidney Crosby didn't retire. He is going to be returning for his 31st NHL season. I am so happy I gave this another shot. Sidney Crosby is going to be 48 years old heading into this upcoming season. I'm not quitting now. I refuse to quit until he plays his 50th year in the NHL. I didn't think it was possible. I really thought this video was over. We're not done quite yet. Crosby's got a bit more left in the tank. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to begin anything in the draft here. It just wasn't a great draft whatsoever, but I am amazed this video is continuing right here. I was fully convinced Crosby was done. Like, by every metric, this man should be retired right now. It took 20 different overrides, and after all 20 of them, he refused to continue his career. He was focused on retiring, but I gave it one last chance, and he's going to be returning here. I don't even know what overall Sidney Crosby is. All I know is we're running it back for one more year. But now we have to focus on extensions, and I don't really know what those are going to look like. Lakovic, this isn't too bad whatsoever. We're going to be doing 2.7 for next season. Denver Barkley, you've actually been a healthy scratch for us. I'm assuming it's going to be pretty cheap here. Yeah, we're looking at just over $1 million for the next 2 seasons. So that's going to be another cheap deal. Schneider, I already know for a fact you're going to be looking for probably about $18 million, 5.5. I'm just not doing that. I don't have the money for you. I'm going to sign this 80 overall rookie right here. They're going to jump onto the team. And on top of that rookie, Brunstrom, I'm hoping I can bring you back 2.5 million. It's a little bit expensive, but you know what? We can make it happen. 2.4 for the next 2. So those are all the extensions we're going to worry about right here. We're ready to run it back. So I'm happy to see we're running it back for another year. However, we have a lot of extensions to hand out. Nemec, Faravari, Quentin Musty, Dalbor Dvorsky. I don't know how we're going to afford all of these guys, especially Nemec. He's going to be looking for a bag. Okay, this isn't too bad. I was thinking Nemec was going to be asking for a lot more. We'll give him a no movement. We'll do $12.5 million for the next 4. That's not a terrible deal whatsoever. Faravari, I am going to trade you away though. You're 35 years old. You're going to age out on me. Quentin Musty, right now you're playing bottom 6 minutes, and I don't want to give you 8.1, but that's actually a lie. I believe you're playing top 6 minutes now, so we can do 7.5 million or something. I'll do 7.5 million for the next 3 years, and that should keep you around for the rest of the rebuild. You're going to be accepting immediately. The salary cap situation is actually not nearly as bad as I thought it was. And then of course, Sidney Crosby, we got to give him an extension. How much is he looking for? 6.8? I can do that, but I'll make it 6.5 for next season. So Crosby's going to be retiring. It's a bit more than what he's getting paid right now, but we know this man has earned it. And then I guess we do have to re-sign one of our goaltenders here. Reasoner, you want $7 million. I don't know if I can do that. Estrada, I would actually like to keep you around because I think we can do a bit cheaper, and it looks like we can. So how about we do 3.9 for the next 2 years, and then you eventually become the starter here. So this is what we're going to do with Martin Faravari. I'm going to package him up with a first round pick. We're going to bring in Robinson from the St. Louis Blues, 87 overall right defenseman. Yes, we're trading a left defenseman for a right defenseman, but I'll just make Avery our number 1 left defenseman, and then our current second pairing right defenseman can actually play both sides. So I'll just move him over to the left side, and there we go, problem solved. Apparently a first round pick isn't enough though. I'll throw a second rounder into this deal. I mean, if I have to do 2 first round picks, I'm not against it. I'd rather not though, but I think we are gonna have to do 2 firsts. So 2 first rounders and Faravari for Robinson. This is a little bit much, but you know what? I'm perfectly fine with it. Okay, so unfortunately with the moves we made, we actually don't have enough money to re-sign Crosby, and we just can't have that. So Connor Geekie, you're off to Boston for 2 second rounders. I guess it's gonna be a second and third round pick. Geekie's been a really good player for us, but we just can't afford to have him on the team. We need to make sure Crosby's sticking around. So that freed up cap space, Crosby's gonna become back to the team, and Estrada, I actually haven't been able to give you a deal yet. So with that freed up cap space, Crosby's going to become back to the team. Of course, he's getting a no movement, $6 million for 1 season. He's accepting immediately, and that's what we love to see. Now, when it comes to our goaltending situation, Estrada, we actually don't have enough money for you. You want $5 million. Reasoner wants $5 million. I don't really know what we're going to do with our goaltenders next season, but we'll figure that out later. Now, we actually have to make one more trade before we head into next season, because I didn't realize we were actually missing one of our third pairing defensemen. So we're going to do this deal right here. Actually, why am I doing this deal? Let me throw a 7th round pick in the deal. Why would I trade a promising young forward away when I can just include a 7th round pick? Okay, 2 7th round picks. The point still stands. Actually, I'll just do Boston's 6th round pick. There we go. Why was I going to give away a good young forward when I didn't have to? So Sidney Crosby has a couple more years left in him. 48 years old and 81 overall. This man continues to do the impossible here. He's not ready to retire quite yet. He knows what he's capable of, and he's capable of a couple more Stanley Cups. Who the heck is this guy right here? Low franchise potential. I forgot about this goaltender. Yeah, we got him for the next 2 years on his entry-level deal. He's the guy we're rocking with. So the Penguins are back where they belong, first in the entire league. 58 wins this season, so we are 1 shy of our usual 59, but we haven't hit 59 wins in a while, so what am I talking about? Lucas Raymond, 59 goals, 70 assists for 129 points. Sidney Crosby, at 48 years old, he's casually picking up 53 goals and 63 assists for 116 points. He is an 81 overall. It just doesn't make sense. The GOATs such as Sidney Crosby, they just never regress on you. When it comes to goaltending, Kurka, 36 wins, 6 shots, a 926 and a 217. Bro is him. Nah, he is that man. Estrada, he's an 84 overall. Clearly we know who our number one is. Bro is the next GOAT. We're taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. I'm not worried about this team whatsoever. The Penguins are rolling. Then again, this is Kurka's first time in the postseason. Let's see if he can step up when it matters most. He's going to be helping us win game 1 here, but 1 game isn't enough. 2 games are enough, and neither are 3. We need a sweep right here to start the postseason off, and that would be a terrific start. The boys are rolling. So it's a nice sweep to start off the postseason. Now we're moving into the second round to take on the Carolina Hurricanes, a team we have beaten a handful of times in this video, and we're going to keep on beating them. We've won 6 games in a row. Make that 7. Is it going to be 8 games? After 7 straight wins, we're finally going to be dropping 1, but we're going to respond in game 5, and we're moving on to the conference finals. 8-1 so far to start the postseason. We just can't be stopped right now. And I know for a fact one team that won't be able to stop us, the Philadelphia Flyers. That's who we're going to be taking on next. We're winning game 1. We're winning game 2. We might sweep this team. We are 1 game away from a sweep, but now we're 12-2 to enter the Stanley Cup final. Vancouver's not ready for us. We're 12-2 entering the Stanley Cup final here. We are yet to lose more than 1 game in a row. We have a 3-0 series lead. We're going to go 16-2 once again. In the year 2036, the Pittsburgh Penguins are still a dominant team, and they're still winning the big time games here. We might be losing this one, but that's perfectly fine. We're not dropping 4 in a row. I just can't see this team blowing a 3-0 series lead. Like, we've been so good offensively and so good defensively. That's not going to collapse over the course of these next 4 games. We just lost 1 game in a row. We're not losing 2 games in a row, but we better wake up here, because right now the offense isn't scoring goals, and we're losing this one 1-0. I'm starting to get concerned. This is the first time in the postseason we've lost 2 games in a series. We were up 3-0. We're not losing 4 in a row. I need y'all to lock in right here. We're picking up 2 goals, and the first one's going to be a Sidney Crosby goal. Moving into the second, we're picking up another goal. Defense is going to win us this game right here, or 6 goals. That will also help us win this game. So once again, Sidney Crosby's taking home another Stanley Cup. He might walk away with 10 Stanley Cups in his career, because he's won a handful since I took over. Sidney Crosby is once again a Stanley Cup champion. He's taken home another Conn Smythe. 13 goals, 17 assists, 30 points. He is the oldest Conn Smythe winner in Stanley Cup history, and I'm not even going to question that, because I highly doubt there have been any other 48-year-olds who have won the Conn Smythe. There's no way that's happened. And you know what? I think we're going to three-peat here, because Kurka, 16 wins, 3 shots, a 929, a 209. You are the next great goaltender. Like, these numbers make no sense. This was your rookie season with the team. Nah, bro's him. We have 2 more years left in the rebuild. That means 2 more Stanley Cups. Okay, you do not understand the significance of what we are looking at right now. Y'all thought I went crazy last time Sidney Crosby didn't retire. This is the following day. I am almost done editing the video. This video is about to go live. For the past couple minutes while I've been editing this video, I have had NHL 25 open, and I have been trying to get Sidney Crosby to not retire. He is running it back. Crosby has another season left in the tank. There is 16 more minutes left for me to edit, but not anymore. We have a bit more time left, because now Sidney Crosby isn't retiring. I'm almost done this video. As I'm editing, it is 2035. That is the season I'm currently on when it comes to editing. Crosby's running it back. He's not done yet. This man has more left in the tank. I can't believe it. Sidney Crosby's running it back again. I sat here for an hour yesterday. I'm not even kidding. I sat down for 1 straight hour, refreshing, trying to get Sidney Crosby to not retire. And after an hour of sitting there, I just gave up. I just said, you know what? He's not running it back for another season. This video is over. This video is not over. This video is going to be coming out later today, because I didn't expect to keep on recording. But yeah, Crosby's got 1 more left in the tank. No, like, I'm absolutely speechless. When it comes to the draft, we got 1 medium elite potential goaltender, but Sidney Crosby's really running it back. He's running it back once again here. I thought this video was over. I was about to post in the next hour. I can't do that because I still have a couple more seasons to go here. When it comes to re-signings, I don't really know who we can afford here. Macmillan, you're going to be gone. Dalibor Dvorsky, more than likely you're going to be gone. 3.6 million, you're coming back to the team. How much money are we actually looking at here? 3.2 million. I'll do 3.2 with a no movement. I'll just keep you around for the rest of this video. 2.9 million for the next 2 years with a no movement for an 85 overall. That's a steal. Haltonen, you want 1.6 million? Sure, I'm fine with that. Lakovic, you're looking for $3 million. How about 2.5 with a full no movement here? I just need you to play bottom 6 minutes for me. We're running it back with basically the exact same team. And then when it comes to goaltending, I'll just qualify these two guys. Ideally, we can bring one of them back. And then Murray, I'll give you your entry-level contract. Now, it really makes no sense how we're in the year 2036 and I still have Sidney Crosby on my team. However, there's one thing that I'm definitely not too happy about. Jim Montgomery retiring on me. How could you do that to me? Now, when it comes to handing out extensions here, I'm not even going to worry about this 87 overall. I know we won't have enough money for him. Beckett Seneca, how much are you going to be looking for? Ideally, it's similar to what you're getting paid right now. You're getting paid 2.6. I can give you around 3.3. I'll actually give you a full no movement because next season is going to be Crosby's last season. So we'll do 2.9 for 2 years. So Seneca's coming back to the team. Denver Barkley, I'm probably going to do the exact same thing with you. I'll just give you a no movement as well. I'll do 2.9 with a full no movement. I think that should be enough to keep you on this team. Everybody's getting a full no movement, but I should probably chill because Crosby is going to need a deal. So hopefully we're still going to have enough money left for him. Then again, I could just trade Seneca away and then we didn't technically give him that contract. Maybe we'll do that. Actually, I take that back because if I really have to, I can trade some of these other guys away. I could trade Quentin Musty away. I could trade Gabe Perreault away. Yeah, we're going to keep those guys that I just signed. Now, I think this will probably be the only trade we make before heading into next season. We're picking up a Lamb from the Philadelphia Flyers. He's on a really cheap contract and that's why we're making this deal. So this video is not over. Sidney Crosby, you have a couple more years left. 80 overall, 49 years old. You have this season and next season. You have done the impossible up until this point. I truly thought this video was over. Wow, it really sucks we can't bring you back next season. You're a 90 overall. Maybe we can though. We'll try to find a way to bring Kurka back next season. I don't think we're going to be able to do it. Between him and Crosby, that's going to be a lot of money tied into two guys when it comes to extensions. However, we'll figure it out. The Pittsburgh Penguins are still around. Crosby's still around. It doesn't make any sense. I really thought this video was over. So in the year 2037, led by Sidney Crosby, the Penguins are going to be taking home another President's Trophy. However, this team is clearly not what they used to be. Age is starting to catch up to Lucas Raymond here. 90 points, 55 goals, and 35 assists. He is 35 years old. Sidney Crosby at age 49. Yes, he is 49 years old. 26 goals, 52 helpers for 78 points. He's trying to do what he can here, but age is certainly catching up to this man. But there's still one more thing we have to do. We have Kurka. He puts up elite numbers. He wins you Stanley Cups. Sidney Crosby, I think it's time for you to get your 10th Stanley Cup. You are going to be walking away with 10 Stanley Cups in your career. We just have to win one over the next 2 years. So I think it goes without saying, if we are going to win a Stanley Cup, we probably have to win it this season because this team's going to be regressing big time. We're going to be losing Kurka as our starting goaltender. Crosby's probably going to be down to like a 75 overall. This team is going to be a shell of their former self, but we are rolling right now. Are we sweeping the Florida Panthers, a team that has been able to compete with us? Yes, we are. We're moving on to the second round. This team's looking to go 16-0. Now, but real talk, I can't believe we're here. In the year 2037, I have somehow made it so Sidney Crosby hasn't retired on me. It doesn't make any sense. Crosby should be retired by now. He tried to retire about 100 different times and I said, nah, bro, you got to run it back for one more. You got one more great year left in the tank here. We're jumping into game number 6 because we're facing elimination, and that's not something I want to see here. Kurka, I need you to steal me the next 2 games. You're not going to be returning to the team, so you better steal me these games right here, and that's just not happening. Are we going to be falling to the Philadelphia Flyers of all teams? Yes, we are. We're going to be falling to the Philadelphia Flyers at age 49. Crosby's not going to be winning his 10th Stanley Cup, but when he's 50 years old, he's going to find a way to win one more. We have one more year left in this rebuild, and it's probably going to take me a very long time just to prevent Crosby from retiring. Now, it's unfortunate the team just couldn't find a way to win when it mattered most, but you know what? That's just the way she goes here. Kurka, you put up some really good numbers at 903 and 287. I mean, those aren't your dominant regular season numbers, but you tried to step up when it mattered, and I got to respect that. Now, we don't have the money to re-sign Sidney Crosby right now, but I think if we just hold off till the re-sign phase, we'll have the money. Then again, how much money is he actually looking for here? 3.9 million. I'll give you a little bit less than that with a full no movement. So we'll do 3.4 for 1 season. Sidney Crosby's returning to the team. Now all we have to do is prevent him from retiring. Now I'm not gonna lie, I think last season was an absolute fluke. I have probably spent at least 2 hours trying to get Sidney Crosby to not retire on me, and it's impossible. Sidney Crosby will not play a season at 50 years old, and there's really nothing I can do about it. Sidney Crosby wants to retire, so he's gonna be able to retire here. 2,338 games played, 1,193 goals, 1,771 assists for 2,964 points. I really wanted him to play one more season because he would have broke 3,000 points, but then again, look at his overall. He's a 74 overall. His role is just an other forward. I don't even know what that means, and his potential, AHL bottom 6 potential, Crosby is not the player he used to be. When it comes to his trophy case though, he did all right. 9 Stanley Cups, 5 Conn Smythes, 4 Hart Memorials, 4 Ted Lindsays, 3 Art Ross, 2 Rocket Richards, 2 Frank Selkes, and then 4 Lady Bings. Sidney Crosby is the GOAT among GOATs here, but if we look at the all-time numbers, it gets even crazier. Just looking at the record book here, Crosby basically just owns every record right now. Most seasons played by a Pittsburgh Penguin, it's Sidney Crosby. Most games played, it's Sidney Crosby. Goals, it's Sidney Crosby. Assists, Sidney Crosby. Points, Sidney Crosby. The only records that this man doesn't hold are penalty minutes, wins, and shutouts for the Pittsburgh Penguins. When we look at the entirety of the NHL, Sidney Crosby's all by himself. Games played, he's at the top. Most goals, he's at the top. Most points, he's at the top. And then when it comes to assists, that's the only stat category where Wayne Gretzky's going to be ahead of him. Sidney Crosby is the greatest player of all time. 100-point seasons, he's going to be at the very top with 16, surpassing Wayne Gretzky. Sidney Crosby is the greatest player we have ever seen. He just had the greatest career of all time, and he's going to go down as an absolute legend. It's just a shame that we couldn't see him play when he was 50 years old. But then again, if we did see him play, he would have been a shell of his former self. We would have been lucky if he even could pick up 20 points.